As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Tom, it's just a tough subject. A recent study by Brown University showed that nearly 450 children are killed each year by their parents.
My daughters were picked up on a Friday by their father to spend the weekend, and that night he pumped carbon monoxide into their bedroom and slit their throats.
Searches have begun for two children killed by their mother in Hopkins County.
9-year-old Hayden King was laid to rest today. Hayden's 4-year-old sister Harper will have a celebration of life service tomorrow morning.
Here's a story that's breaking at 6 o'clock. It's all centered around the three people you see on your screen, the key pieces in a Middletown murder case.
On the left is James Hutchinson. Police say the 6-year-old was killed allegedly by his own mother.
East Los Angeles mother was charged today with killing her 3 young children. The youngest was less than 2 months old.
At 6 with breaking news.
Good evening to you, friends. Greg Merriweather along with Elizabeth Val. Our top story today, that precious little 2-year-old right now. 2 people are facing charges accused of murdering little Nevaeh Allen. Investigators found the 2-year-old dead in Mississippi after several days of searching.
One of those blamed in her death, the girl's mother, Lanaya Cardwell.
Hi, Bullhorn Betty. Thank you for my shirt. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Kids Club.
Well, hello, my beautiful people of YouTube and X. It's nice to see you. I hope everybody is having a great time. We're not gonna really waste too much time getting in this this topic of conversation. We kind of started it yesterday. We jumped ahead. We started listening to the interviews, and I kind of got on the interview list, and we kind of went way past where we needed to go to listen to Dutch's second interview with the mother and the stepfather. And this is the interview that they did. This is interview number 4. So they did Dutch's 3-3. They did WSMV 3-4. They did Fox 17 3-6. It aired on 3-7. And they did Dutch's, the 4th interview, on March 17th. Can everybody hear me? I'm very, very sorry, but we have a generator running. That's the only way I can power my house. I've got everything working well. I've got both of my refrigerators plugged up, the coffee maker's plugged up, the ice machine's plugged up, and I've got power to half the house. But I'm keeping the lights off. Why I'm so dark? Because of the heat. It's starting to get hot. Without any AC, it's a little hot in here. Okay, I had to go outside. I could not. It's too hot in here to run a shower, so I ended up going outside to the outside shower in my bathing suit. Don't worry, I wasn't in my birthday suit. I was in my bathing suit, and decided to take cool off out there. And I got to tell you, holy crap, that water felt so stinking good. I actually may go out and stand in the shower. The outside shower again. I don't know. It's hot. It's getting hot in here. I got to be honest with you. It's nice to see everybody. Just are you planning to go through Seth's interview? I mean, to be, of course, and if you're going to come in here, you guys can do Seth stuff. Okay, Seth is not my priority here. Okay, it's finding Sebastian. Okay, and that's what people don't understand. It's not about fair. It's about finding a boy. Seth has nothing to do with it. So let's be fair. Okay. Just let's be fair. He's got nothing to do with it. He has an airtight alibi. I'm not worried about Seth. I'm worried about the people's alibis that are, oh, I'm sorry, I was sleeping alone. Okay. So for me to be fair, that's where we're going to go. Seth is part of the rotation, and we actually already did an interview of Seth's, to be fair. And quite frankly, it was disturbing because we got the parents talking, the mom and the stepdad talking about the incontinence of their son. And Seth is on his interview just begging for his son to come home. So I don't know, for it to be fair, if that's really going to be the great look that you want for your people. Okay. We are not here to throw arrows. We're here for the truth. And I'm sorry if you don't like how I'm running my show. It looks like what is this? Clip Easy? Sounds like you got your own station. It sounds like you got your own channel. Go back to it. Okay. There is one rule in this chat. It is not, don't be a Richard. Don't tell me how I'm going to run my show. Okay. If you don't like it, there's the door. You can scroll up, scroll down. I don't care. This is a Seth friendly channel. If you do not like it, again, there's the door. Please don't stick around and listen to something that you don't want to listen to. The bottom line is I'm looking for information to find a boy, not to be fair. Okay. If there was any type of indication that the father did not have an airtight alibi, we would focus more on him, period. But let's be honest. I don't have a lot of time to waste. And each and every day I'm getting a little older. Okay. So I like sticking to the facts. I like sticking to the details of the case, the ones that are pertinent and the ones that matter. At the end of the day, this child went to bed 45 minutes away from where Seth was. Okay? Thank God Seth was at work, because God knows what you buffoons would be doing to that man if he wasn't. We have some issues, and it's not with Seth. Okay? We have a boy that disappeared, that literally disintegrated and evaporated inside his locked home. That's where my focus is going to be. And if anybody has a problem with how I'm running my channel, again, please see yourself out. Very simple. So we kind of jumped ahead. We decided to go all the way back to the beginning of this case. And at the beginning of this case, we were not involved in this case. Many of us were focused on Riley Strain. Okay, so we missed a lot of details, boots on the ground, that we went back and kind of, looked back at the beginning, but we didn't have a whole lot of information. Even when we were getting involved in this case, March 13th, some time had lapsed. We were coming in a couple weeks after this case started, after this case happened. And of course, going back 2 weeks is not that big of a deal. But we had to go back to the beginning to get us where we are. And every time this case gets a little chaotic and people lose their focus, kind of like Clip Easy, we have to go back to the beginning. And when we go back to the beginning, we learn more details that we either forgot about or that didn't appear important at the time. So when we went back to February 26th, between February 26th and February 29th, we learned very early on that there was some major problems with this case. Predominantly, law enforcement could not determine how this boy left his home or a scent or a path that this child took. Okay. So there was no video evidence, not from the school. Now, mind you, the school does have video. Okay. There are a number of trail cams in the area. There are a number of businesses and homes that also have some type of video surveillance. So really, no matter which direction this young boy went, he should have been caught somewhere on some video. There's too many videos in and around this small little area for him not to be picked up on something. Well, he was not. War Eagle, I want to thank you. You've been doing an amazing job. If you guys have not been to War Eagle's channel, please do. War Eagle has really been grabbing some great clips to embody some of the most problematic statements from everybody. So keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I do appreciate your attention to detail. We ended up getting up to right about March 7th, and this is when the case kind of took a turn. They started going to the landfill, and this is the date that they released the interview. 6th into the 7th. I think from the 6th to the 9th is when the actual landfill search took place. I think it was like a total of 48 hours, maybe a little over 48 hours at the landfill. They stated they didn't find anything. But right before we started hearing a bunch of news coming out about the landfill, the parents did another, the mom and the stepdad did another bite at the apple with the hands video. They would not allow the news organization to put them on their face on the screen. This is a very critical aspect of this case because most parents want somebody to see them grieving, want the opportunity to say their son, their missing child's name over and over again, especially if somebody else, like a third party, a stranger danger, has the child. The reason for this is they want to humanize that child in the abductor's mind. They want to make sure that that child, that abductor looks at that child like a human, not an object. So it's very critical to get the parents in front of the camera and get the parents saying the child's name as much as possible and talking lovingly about that child to humanize that child in their abductor's viewpoint. This is something that was missing from the very beginning, which is a little odd, especially in light of the details. When you have a child that is medically needy and does not have medication that runs away, that needs that medication to survive, that medication to sleep, that medication to function, every second counts and is very ultra critical. Any mother and father would know this as it being an ultra critical situation that they must, and I mean must, get their information about their child out to the public as quickly as possible so they can find this child, so this child doesn't get confused, doesn't start breaking down and things of that nature. And I don't know what this medication does to the child. Because we've never really talked about the type of medication that he was on. We do know generally that Sebastian is on an autistic medicine, from my understanding, a sleep aid, from my understanding, as well as a very expensive chromosome medication to help with his chromosome deletion syndrome. Now, I may misunderstand this. There may be only one or two drugs and not three, but it's from my understanding that there would be at least a minimum of three different medications that this boy could potentially have been on. Now, without those medications, especially with the chromosome issue with him, I don't know how that affects somebody's body. I don't know if that, helps keep fluid off their brain. We know he had fluid in his brain. And that's why he couldn't be involved in any kind of impact sports where he could hit his head. So this is kind of where we are. We learned about tics, his personal dislikes and likes, and some of the most notable dislikes are going outside without his shoes because of a very specific event with fire ants. He's not one that really likes dirty water, but he does like to fish and he does like to swim in swimming pools. This kid knows how to swim, and it's very unlikely that he would get into a lake or a stream, according to his father, Seth Rogers. So we learned all the way up to the 7th that there was some type of change going on. Right about the 4th or 5th of March is when the investigation took a turn, not for the better, but actually for the worse. And what ended up happening is they started to pull back search efforts, started to entertain foul play, and this case ended up going into a criminal investigation. And since this criminal investigation, law enforcement has tried to downplay the significance of this criminal investigation, most likely because of the volatility of the mother and the stepfather. That would be my personal opinion on the matter, because it seems like everybody is scared of these two people, and we are not. Law enforcement should not. Law enforcement should get as much information as they can possibly get, and cut off any and all communications with them unless they call them to say, look for their son. But from my understanding, that does not happen. Whereas the father is always calling, always checking, whether it's with the Memphis FBI office, whether it's with TBI or Sumner County. He is always checking with someone about the details of his son's case. However, they can't even tell him if they're further along today than they were on February 26th. So we ended up kind of fast forwarding a little bit because we watched that Seth interview and we just went to the very next interview in the list. And I should have pulled ourselves back, because what we learned in interview 4, and that's the second interview for Duchess, is that the story started changing quite a bit. I told everybody in my chat, if we hear a red flag, to put a red flag. Thank you, Anita. That reminds me, before we get too far down in this conversation, we have over 500 people in the room right now. If you guys wouldn't mind, please go out and give me a thumbs up. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing to the Bullhorn Betty channel so you can chat in the with everybody else. Also, change that bell to all. You don't want to miss any great information. Sometimes we just have chit chats, and sometimes we do full on investigative reports on this channel. And so I would really like you guys, if you would like to up-to-date information on all the breaking cases that we have going on, please consider subscribing to the Bullhorn Betty channel. We work very hard to try to keep this a victim focus and fact driven. We do speculate, we do theorize, and we do opine based on the relevant facts of the case. So one of the things that we noticed in the first 3 interviews, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong. But in the first 2 interviews, there was a few notable things that we noticed that did not exist in the first 3 interviews. There was no talk of Sebastian taking any garbage out or that being his chore. There was no mom leaving the house to search for the child. There was no thud ever reported in the first 3 interviews. And they called Sumner County Sheriff's Office immediately. There's no on any cameras, and no other family had been referenced whatsoever. Okay? And when we're going to listen to the interview all over, because I don't expect you guys to remember what we had discussed the other night, especially since the hurricane was all day yesterday and we were supposed to pick up from where we left off. We're going to start that process all over again. We're going to watch the Dutch's interview, the second interview, and commentate on that. But what we learned from the second interview, number 4, this is when we started seeing a lot of differences in the story. We hear of a fun breakfast that was now had, a phone call to the family to brag about the breakfast, FaceTime, i.e. internet access. The niece was added to this story. The aunt was added to the BJ trip, and there may be other family members included in the BJ's trip as well. She starts calling Sebastian Rogers Bubba. Calls at night with husband accustomed to falling asleep. She interjects that. And she puts puppies up at midnight. And I put assumes Sebastian, and I stopped my thought there. I should have wrote something else there. So when I realized that that was March 17th, and the last time that we had spoken about the timeline of events, I realized that we glossed over the news from about the 7th of March up to the 17th. So we have about 10 days to fill in before we got to the Dutch's second interview. Here's what I did find out, because during my research, I realized that during this time, the Lights interview was released. Thank you, Ginger. God bless you. Ginger just gifted 1 Bullhorn Betty membership. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, please don't forget to tell Ginger thank you. I'm not on that side, so I can't see who received that. But thank you, and I'm sure that the person that received that appreciates that. I thought that Soggs slept with her when that is correct. That is what we learned later, though. At this juncture, we don't know that. Okay, but you are right. The dogs. That's a contentious point in this story, because we have been told also by that same person that his wife does not put the dogs up when he's not in the home. They actually sleep with him. So you are right. That has not yet come out in any of these interviews just yet, and we will get to them, I promise. So what happened from 3/7 to 3/11? Well, the last interview was on 3/6 and released on 3/7 from Fox 17, and this was the Hands interview. We didn't really get a whole lot. It was kind of the same old story. There were some differences in the story as opposed to the first two, but very mild, very slight in verbiage on that one. And then we realized this is when the landfill search was going on. And it was a little befuddling that nothing in the interviews directly spoke about the landfill search with the mom and stepfather. What was really interesting is the mom and stepfather were silent, completely silent from 3/7. They had not done another interview, for the most part, had just kind of shut down. And then all of the sudden, on March 14th, at 6 p.m., Nick Baris runs the exclusive about the lights. And still, not immediately did they come out for the self-preservation interview. However, 3 days later, on 3/17, they must have felt the heat, because they went on Dutch's a second time to try to clear their name, not for help searching for Sebastian, to clear their name. Self-preservation, a self-preservation interview. And this has been what I classify all their interviews thus far, self-preserving in nature. So let's listen to what came out that started making their story change dramatically. Oh, and this is just, let me go ahead and put this up so you guys can see that this is the 7th, and it's all about the landfill. All about the landfill all the way until to the 8th. And into the 9th, the 9th, they have concluded the Hopkins County landfill in missing teens investigation. And this was on March 8th. So literally 2 days in the landfill. That's not good enough. I'm sorry. It's just not good enough for any type of landfill search if you're looking for any type of evidence or a human being. This is the interview that we discussed last. It was on March 11th, and this was the Nick Baris interview. And we did air this on our last discussion of this. So we're at March 11th. I said 7th when we got on this live, but it was March 11th that we missed. So we're actually missing from March 11th to March 17th. And of course, the father is speaking about his son. He's speaking about the dog scent. And let's go to, I want to get us caught up to where we are. They're doing everything they can. Community is posting flyers. Knox County Rescue commits time to searching for the teen. And then there's a few timelines. And of course, the Tennessean is coming out saying information is sparse. And then on the 14th was when the jaw dropper happened. And where is that? Here we go. Hopefully you guys can hear it when it starts. Apparently they're selling tires. Those are some sexy tires. Oh, good gracious, the things they do. I'll get it on a big screen as soon as it comes on, where I can put it on a big screen.
We begin with a surprising development in the search for 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, who's been missing for 18 days. An exclusive look at new video evidence.
It's
Thanks
not
for
letting
joining
me
us
do
here
anything.
at 6. I'm Rory Johnson.
And I'm Hunter
Hold
Hogan.
on, I don't like that one. Let me find it. I know I've got it. Hold on. It's got to be on Facebook. Give me just a second. I didn't like how that's not letting me stop it or anything. I don't like that. I don't like that. We'll do the YouTube one. That's the one we'll do. There we go. Oh. Hold on. We'll kill that one. We'll come back. Give me just a second. There we go. Let me add it back on here. I didn't like the way that was from their news article. I don't know why.
Days. An exclusive look at new video evidence. Thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Rory Johnson.
And I'm Hunter Hogan. A lot to get to here tonight. Authorities have scrutinized home security video from that Hendersonville neighborhood, trying to learn what happened to that teen with autism.
Now you can take a look for yourself. Our Nick Baris obtained video that appears to show two people near Sebastian's home the night his parents say he disappeared.
The video you're about to see is from early Monday morning, February 26th, around 3:10 a.m. Now, there are no street lights in the Stafford Court neighborhood, so it is at night, pitch black. What you will see here are these 2 points of light believed to be people with flashlights in the area around Sebastian Rogers' Hendersonville home. It is believed Sebastian left his home barefoot and with a flashlight sometime overnight. Since his disappearance, authorities have reviewed security video from homes in the neighborhood looking for clues.
We have had several clips that have come in.
And this one is getting the most attention, showing signs of activity around Sebastian's home the night he disappeared. You see, 2 light sources, which we've circled to help you follow. For point of reference, the security camera was pointed toward the back of Sebastian's home in a common area. In the video, you see subject 1 with a light source in the lower right-hand corner. Then you see subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before that light source is covered or obscured by bushes. Subject 1, a few seconds later, then moves out of frame. Then subject 2 reappears and follows subject 1 off screen. It's a short time later and it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back through the common area, and that is it. I know there's not much to see here. You certainly cannot identify anyone, but those close to the investigation tell me the mere fact that there is now evidence that someone is in the area around Sebastian's home is significant. This video shows suspicious activity in the immediate area the night Sebastian disappeared. Could one of these subjects have been Sebastian? Did he meet and leave with someone? Sebastian's father says his son would not go with a stranger.
It's up in the air for me because I don't think he would get into a vehicle with somebody unless he knew them.
So what exactly are we seeing here? I know investigators are doing what they can to try enhancing the video for any more clues. For now, this video is now part of the Sebastian Rogers missing person file, and I'm told it could become more significant depending on where the ongoing investigation leads. We'll be following that.
So there you guys have it. So why are we having major changes in the next interview? Let's go to the next interview and see what changes. Hey, B. Betty, Reality Wins. Faye, I don't think I said hi to everybody. Everybody that's in here. Oh, I am Team Summer. I hope your hand's doing better. Oh, look at that. I didn't even see that either. Let me go over here. Oh, thank you. Tugs on Heartstrings. If you received your gifted Bullhorn membership, don't forget to tell Tugs thank you. I sent you an email just now about an email I sent you on your birthday, an email about an email. Okay, I will get to it. I'm sorry if I missed things on my birthday. It was a little hectic here. You guys know I've been working, but I do realize I've been trying to go back and get some things. So Yogi, it's nice to see you. Sam, The Real Me Too, HDC, it's nice to see you. Brianna's World, it's nice to see you as well. Shanna, it's nice to see you. So now we have this breaking new clue that was introduced just days before this next interview with the mother and the stepfather. One of the reasons why we're focusing on the mom and the stepfather is because this child was in their home. They cannot explain how this child left, and there's no evidence that this child left their home or walked away from their home. That's why we are focusing on this aspect. If the details were different or reversed somehow, and this was the situation we were dealing with Seth would be in the hot seat because of the facts of the case. The facts of the case, not the made up emotional, oh, we don't want to believe, the facts of the case. These are the facts. This child was in a home. This home belonged to his stepfather and his mother. He was locked inside the home. They did not see this boy walk out of the home, but this boy disappeared somewhere from sometime between 6:30 February 25th to 6 a.m. February 26th. Okay? He was in his mother's care, period. Not his father's, his mother's. We always look at the primary caregiver in a situation like this. Where were they and what were they doing? And if their story sounds like a bunch of horse manure, we start focusing on them. Why? Because we are true crime and we have a knack for understanding crime. Why? We cover it every single day. It's all we do. It's all we do. Thank you. It's all we do. So now let's get over. We're going to have to back up. I know we're already in this this interview quite a bit already. But let me get where I think we're right here. Okay.
Extremely been cooperative and constantly are continuously working with law enforcement. And there's absolutely nothing to show that we are responsible, foul play, any of that nature. People have asked about interrogations and polygraphs. All this stuff has been done.
So they're saying we know that that is not true. Polygraphs were not conducted. No one was cleared on 3/17. But you see his how insistent he is. Why? Because this release of these flashlights obviously are stressing the mom and the stepfather out. You can tell in his speech pattern, he is not as relaxed as he was on the first 3 interviews. He seems a little more aggravated. Let's listen.
And there's absolutely nothing to show that we are responsible, foul play, any of that nature. People have asked.
But we know that the news articles stated that they are entertaining foul play. They are entertaining foul play. Let me see if I can find it in my history. I know I just had it up a little while ago. Maybe I don't. Okay. But we had the interview where, actually I do. It's on my list. Hold on here. Let me go back to the list. And it's WSMV. Let me go back. Okay, here. Let's listen to this interview here. Before we get on there, because I want...
Learning about the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers from Sumner County. Today, the search continues. The case, though, we know is now a criminal investigation. Thanks for being with us.
This was done on, I think this is the 11th. This is March 11th. So this is 6 days before this interview. 6 days. I want you guys to listen to what they say.
At 6, everyone, I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Kelsey Gibson for Carrie Tonight. For the first time, we are getting a look at family video of the missing 15-year-old. Sebastian's biological father gave it to Nick Baris during an exclusive on-camera interview.
Seth Rogers shares custody of his son, and the deputy with the Davidson County Sheriff's Department spent the past 2 weeks looking for Sebastian.
I'm hoping he's still alive. You know, that's my main hope right now, is that he's not deceased. I mean, I keep praying that he's alive. I keep praying that somebody's going to see him, that somebody's going to call 911.
Seth's 15-year-old son disappeared barefoot and with a flashlight from his mother and stepfather's home in Hendersonville either late on Sunday, March 3rd or early that Monday. Seth knows the key to finding his son may come from a tip. Several photographs have already been made public, and now he's released 2 video clips of Sebastian. In this first one, you see Sebastian up front on the left in yellow shorts, participating in a tug-of-war with fellow students.
And if you watch, he got swung around at the end like a little rag doll, and it's like, well, he gave it his best.
This second video shows Sebastian walking at his middle school graduation.
I was very proud of him. I mean, he successfully completed something.
Seth says his son, who is autistic, is not a wanderer. He finds it highly unlikely Sebastian would leave in the middle of the night barefoot, based on an experience his son had as a child.
He decided that he wanted to step into a mound of what he thought was dirt, and it was fire ants. And since then, it's always been, he doesn't like to get his feet in the dirt. He likes to have his socks and shoes on.
Seth won't rule out the possibility of foul play, that someone is involved in his son's disappearance. And if Sebastian is able, he says he needs to call
for help.
He needs to call 911. And if somebody has him, you need to give him back. He's my
That's not really, and I wanted you guys to hear
son. And he doesn't belong to nobody, but damn it, he's mine. And he's mine.
Nick Baris.
That is a grieving father right there. Okay. Much different than the likes of what we're about to hear. Now let's get back.
About interrogations and polygraphs. All this stuff has been done. All of it has been done.
That was one of the questions that I had up next was, have you both taken a polygraph test?
The results are passed.
The results are passed. So we have a situation here where some breaking information comes out that shows activity outside of this house. And now we've got mom and stepdad once again on Dutch's pleading for themselves, not Sebastian, themselves. This is what people like me have a problem with.
Chris, can I ask something? Because I know that people was going to ask it afterwards. The event that happened, was that toward you or by you?
It was toward me.
Okay.
So to give you, I'll go ahead and paint that story very crystal clear.
Here we go with the crystal clear again. Now remember, he just sat there and said, after finding out that there's lights on the outside of this home, that they've all had polygraphed and he personally passed. Now he wants to make something crystal clear. He doesn't sound like the calm, cool, collected head that we saw in the first other 3 interviews. You can hear more panic in his voice. You can hear more frustration in his voice. You can hear his need to control the situation in his voice and how he's speaking.
I was holding my daughter in my left arm. Okay. Mind you, she was a little baby. She was up against my chest.
All about him.
Cuddled up next to my cheek and my shoulder. My ex-wife accused me of having an affair with a coworker.
Just an opinion.
Who was not much into men. I'll let you go that direction wherever you want to go. Just wasn't into men. And that coworker was my boss at the time. And she didn't like, and I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" And I showed it to her. She's very hot-headed. She didn't like the answer. Swore up and down I was. And she connected and slapped me across the left-hand side of my face where I was holding my daughter. If you can do that while a man is holding a child, or a woman is holding a child for that matter, if you can slap that person while they're holding that child, that says something about you.
Isn't this the same guy that put his car in drive and aimed it toward the same woman holding his daughter? I digress.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be in that situation. I wouldn't expect any person to be in a situation of that. So I had to do.
I want to remind everybody that he took his wife's daughter away from her mother while she was breastfeeding at only 6 weeks old. That is cruel and unusual punishment. There's no excuse for that. Sorry, not sorry.
What I had to do based on being a parent, which was best for my child.
The same child you wanted to abort.
Right. I just knew that in the future that people would be online saying there was an incident and nobody asked what the incident was. You said the results.
I'm sure they're going to spin it.
Yeah. The results of the polygraph was that you passed. Is that both of you passed, or can you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm out in the living room and I don't have my bullshit button, but if I did, I'd be pushing it right now. Just pushing it. Passed the polygraph. Let's listen to that again.
Polygraph was that you passed. Is that both of you passed, or can you say?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think that was my question that was up next was, so you've both taken a polygraph test. That was some of the questions. I see a couple people asking that specifically. Did you take?
So that is another thing that has been added in this story is the passing of the polygraphs. Let me write that down. Passed polygraphs. We know that's a lie.
Take a polygraph test specifically. Chloe and Mo wanted to know specifically, could you elaborate? Did you take one and also pass?
I've got a question, and a lot of people have been asking, Chris, is there any reason why you don't want Sebastian around your daughter?
Here we're going to hear. Now we're getting into the daughter. Let's listen to what he has to say.
So I'm going to make this real crystal clear for everybody. There's some things that can be spoke of, and there's some things that will not be spoke of. And personal issues inside my family are strictly that. They have no bearing on this investigation.
Do you believe that they have no bearing on this investigation whatsoever? I don't believe that. I don't believe, yes, crystal clear, I hear that. Della says when CP and Danny was gone them 17 to 24 hours, I think they got rid of Sebastian on the way. That he kept saying we. Remember CP said we stopped to help a woman at her car. That's when they got a ride. For Sebastian. I've got to find that clip where they said they were helping somebody, because if there's somebody out there that was helped by them, we need to locate that person. We need to find out what they saw, what they heard. Was there any phone calls during that time? If it's true, I don't know if it's true, because again, we're constantly finding mistruths coming out of the mom and the stepfather.
The cops are well aware of everything involving specifics. And that's quite honestly, I know this is going to sound snarky and rude, but it's really nobody's business as to.
You have a missing child that you did not want around your child, that your daughter, that you were trying to get custody of. This does have something to do with this case, period.
That, because it has no bearing on this case.
Understood. Okay.
And for the record, I will say this. All three parents have an agreement, and we all understand this. That can be said.
Got it.
I don't know if they all agree to that. Just because you say so doesn't make everybody agree to it. It seems like you're a very domineering person, just saying.
Okay. And someone wanted to ask, Angela said, I would like for Chris to clarify what he meant when he said he hasn't seen Sebastian since early February. Are you able to clarify? And if you're not, just state that.
So I cannot give certain details with this investigation, and that's kind of one of those things.
Does anybody find it funny? Let me just ask you guys while we're here. Does anybody find it funny that this is the person that was absolutely the furthest away from this incident, allegedly? He was 3.5 hours away. He states he had no knowledge of what happened between the hours of from 9 to 6 o'clock in the morning, other than the conversation he had with his wife that evening while she was sleeping, studying, and God knows what else. Does anybody find it funny that his details, like the mom said, the day before, explains the day before, explains multiple variations of what happened that night leading into the next morning. But Seth has no problem telling people where he was. We've got mom that's been telling people where she was and what she was doing. But this guy that was 3.5 hours away that allegedly had nothing to do with anything, wasn't there, wasn't around, wasn't anything, is the only one that his details, where he was, is so critical to this case that he can't say nothing. Does anybody find that odd? He can't say nothing. The details of where his whereabouts. Do you guys think that's key? Maybe he is telling us the truth here. Maybe he can't say because his details truly are the nugget of information that will break this case wide open. Possibly, potentially. Possibly, potentially. Oh, thank you, SS Butterfly, the newest member to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. Oh, and Lisa, I just wanted to know, has anyone checked the private property that Mommy Socks has access to? I just want to know. That's it. Private property Mommy Socks has access to. I'm not sure. Can you send me an email at bullhornbetty@gmail.com and clarify what you're talking about and what private properties she has access to? I'll definitely forward it over and definitely have it looked into. I promise you that. I promise you that. I just find it awfully odd that where his whereabouts are the most crucial and critical in this case. And you know what? To be honest with you, I truly believe they are. I truly believe his whereabouts are critical to this investigation. And it's a darn shame that they're not. Just saying.
Okay.
I wished I could eventually down the road. I'm sure that will allow to come out.
Okay.
But as it stands right now, the answer that I've given is early February was the last time that I saw Sebastian.
I just heard, listen, he just said something. He misspoke. Listen to this. The story I gave. Holy smokes. Listen.
Road. I'm sure that will allow to come out.
Okay.
But as it stands right now, the answer that I've given is
the answer I have given. He's been asked this question before. The only other person that he's asked that asked this question before is law enforcement, because he's only had 3 other interviews and nobody's asked him about this. That means the only answer he could have given to someone is law enforcement. So this is the story he gave law enforcement. That means he's not even being truthful with law enforcement at this juncture. In my opinion, BHB, I screenshot the flashlight video. They headed to hold on. They headed to a porch, which is a frosted glass window in the door, moving a trash bin. Subject had mittens with fingertips. Male, more, 4 people. Nisi Marie, send me what you have to my email at bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I'm going to have to follow. If anything that you can give me to help me with what you're talking about, that would be great. I'd like to preview that myself. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're gonna go back.
Eventually down the road, I'm sure that will allow to come out.
Okay.
But as it stands right now, the answer that I've given is early.
The answer I have given. Who did he give that answer to before this interview? Because so far I have not heard anybody ask this question. Let's listen.
February.
Hold on.
Now, the answer that I've given is early February was the last time that I saw Sebastian. And no, I was not home when all of this took place. I actually got back to Nashville. And I believe it was later in the afternoon. But I was on the phone with the police for the majority of that day until I physically got here.
So he was on the phone the majority of that day before he got there. That's a little odd because we're hearing some other information from his employer, stating that he was actually removed from the job because of poor behavior, not because of requesting to leave. So I'm not sure.
Question that I've seen ask, so I figured I wrote it down to ask you. Why was the sheriff's office called and not 911?
So our house is not designated for city limits, which jurisdictions for.
What does that have to do with it? City limits or county? You dial 911, they transfer you.
Police are inside city limits.
He didn't call the police. 911 would have routed you to the appropriate law enforcement body. Let's listen to this, and I'm going to shut up.
Well, our house is not designated for city limits, which jurisdictions for police are inside city limits. The sheriff's department is what governs our area because we're outside of that. So if you call 911 and you're outside of those areas, it goes to a central point, but then they will turn around and ask your location, and then they redirect you to another dispatcher. If you know who the dispatcher, who your law enforcement agency is that governs your area, I just call them straight.
How many times have you had to call them straight? That should be the next question. How many times have you had to call them straight?
There's no point in wasting time going from one to another to get to what I need when I know exactly who to call.
Does it sound like he's called law enforcement a lot of times? I don't know. I'm getting that hinky feeling in this one.
Call.
And you guys were on a 3-way call because you were not. You were coming from out of town. Is that correct?
He can't even answer the question. Let's listen to that question again.
Because you were not.
Other to get to what I need when I know exactly who to call.
Exactly who to call. Was it a friend? Was it a friend? Did you call a friend? I want to know, right?
And you guys were on a 3-way call because you were not. You were coming from out of town. Is that correct?
We were on a 3-way call.
That law enforcement was called on a 3-way call.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to clarify that. Terry Dean wants to ask you if Sebastian could have been sneaking out prior without y'all knowing.
I'd like to think no.
I would like to say no.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is not Sebastian.
That is not Sebastian. So what would ever make them think that Sebastian would just up and walk out without anything? These are parents that live with this boy. They knew better.
He's not a child that just goes outside at any point in time without telling somebody something.
It's somehow that zero knowledge.
Yeah, if it had happened, we don't know about it. But our neighborhood is a very small subdivision. It's not huge. And everybody here looks out for everybody. We all watch to make sure everything's kosher in the neighborhood, and nobody has reported anything of that nature.
Nobody ever has, except the mom on February 26th.
Okay. Crazy Linda asked, were there any weapons in either homes? And if so, were they all accounted for by law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay. And
do you all have camera footage in your home? I've heard people.
Camera footage. Here's the cameras. Let me write the cameras on the list.
People saying that too.
That is some information that we cannot divulge at this time due to the.
They will not divulge. Will not divulge. Does anybody believe that based upon this answer, because it doesn't seem like he has a problem, if there's something that's not realistic, it doesn't seem like he has a problem saying no or yes. But when you ask him specific details like the cameras, he says he can't divulge. That almost implies there are cameras somewhere. Does it not? I mean, we've watched enough interviews to know that if there was no cameras there, he would have just said no cameras. Like he did on Nancy Grace. We haven't quite got there yet. But why is he saying at this point that he will not divulge whether there's cameras around their house or not? To me, it almost implies that there had to have been. But that's an assumption. It really is an assumption because we don't know. We're not in that home. We've never seen that home. They didn't have a lot of adult parties at that home. There weren't people that were going over there taking pictures of inside their home because they didn't do really anything. So they were very, very sheltered people. They kept themselves away from a lot of people. Were they probably friendly with people at work? Yes. Did they do a lot with anybody after work? Probably not. They probably only did things with their family. They probably had no contact with anybody else but their family. Coffindoffer said their cameras were trash that night. Woohoo! That's probably what they were looking for in that landfill, but that's an assumption. We can't pass around assumptions as fact. But this kind of leans, in my opinion, toward there had to have been cameras somewhere. But again, this is the stepfather and all of his cryptic language.
Ongoing investigation.
Okay. Thank you.
We should could, but unfortunately we can't.
Did Sebastian have a...
How is he laughing? I mean, it's been 21 days and nobody has seen his stepson and he's laughing. How can you crack a smile? I don't think in a million years you would have had Riley Strain's mom cracking a smile at any time during any interview.
Key to the house, and if he did he take that key with him?
Let's listen to it.
Thank you.
Now we're talking about the keys.
Did Sebastian have a key to the house, and if he did he take that key with him?
That is another part of an investigation that's ongoing that we cannot answer.
Okay.
Won't answer whether Sebastian has keys. Well, if they've already said Sebastian took nothing with him, I would have to assume that even if he had a key, the keys would not be with him. Because of the prior interviews, them stating that they assume that he walked out the door because that's the only one he could close with a combination. That would imply he does not have keys to the home.
Okay. Can I ask the question I've seen? Whose idea was it for Sebastian to move in with his bio dad after school was out?
All right. So here is where the marital issues come up and why Sebastian must leave the house. Sebastian must leave the house. But remember, the stepfather just sat there and stated that this has nothing, his disappearance has nothing to do with his custody dispute or his custody case in New Mexico. That's what he said. It has nothing, no bearing. It has nothing to do with this case, right? So if it has nothing to do with this case, then why was Sebastian being forced out of his home? And let's say it just like that. Forced out of his home.
All three parents.
Let's listen.
And I've said, whose idea was it for Sebastian to move in with his bio dad after school was out?
All three parents.
And another thing that I've seen, and I mean,
That's another lie. All three parents. All three parents, he says. That's not what we learned to be the truth.
understand if y'all can't answer, but was there also a restraining order on the biological dad?
That was posted in a Facebook group.
Yes.
That someone sent to me. I think, no, that was something else. Let me find it. Someone sent that to me.
It was actually underneath JLR's video. It wasn't in the Facebook group.
Okay, so here's what I will openly say about that.
Oh, there it is. That's what somebody posted in the comments.
So what I will say on that is this. People go through divorces, and it is not the best of times. So I was not privy to that kind of information prior to my relationship with my wife.
So he's saying he does not know whether or not DV charges, but I believe that they were filed, but they never went through. But I don't even know if they were ever filed. I think this might be some horse manure, but but Chris is saying that, well, I have no knowledge of it.
That if anything happened, that happened prior to my knowledge. So I cannot and give you an answer of that. But what I can say is,
remember, Katie was sitting right next to him when this interview was taking place. She could have spoken. She chose not to.
If it is out there, it could be of public knowledge. It could be a public record, but I don't have any knowledge of it.
Okay. That's what I needed to ask on that one. Okay, going back over here.
But does it surprise us whether any person in this family would get a bunk protective order? I mean, we do see their work. Just saying.
To my questions, guys, please, I appreciate your patience, and they are sending me the questions. So I see that you guys are still posting more questions, and I'm getting to them as fast as I can. So thank you guys for being patient. I do have 4 or 5 more messages that just popped up that said they want to know that you definitely took a polygraph and passed because it got cut off by a different question and they feel like you did not answer that. So I'm just asking one more time. This is the last time, guys, I'm going to revisit this question.
Okay. For the record.
Mo, he said he passed it, according to Amy.
Well, hold on. Somebody asked the question, was a polygraph taken and has it been passed? Yes. I didn't specify who.
Now he's saying I didn't specify who. He said twice. Both him and his wife took it and passed it. Just in this interview. We just heard it. I've got it written up here. Polygraph. Yes. Passed. Passed.
Or when. But what I can tell you, everything has been vetted completely. Polygraphs have come back as passed. So I'm
polygraphs, plural.
Confused as in why they're all wondering if myself, my wife, and the biological father took one. When law enforcement agency has come out and told everybody, even in the TBI news link, if you guys hadn't read that, please go out and read that. That's got a lot of great information in it, especially it's probably the most up-to-date information.
We still haven't really heard hardly anything about Sebastian this entire time, just FYI.
But they will even tell you, at this point in time, they have no reason to speculate foul play, anything on the...
That is exactly opposite of what has been going on in the news at the time of this interview. The exact opposite. As a matter of fact, law enforcement came out and said that they're going to have to start entertaining foul play.
Parents, everybody's been extremely cooperative of anything and everything they've asked us.
Okay. And Bobby, why did that happen? Because it's public. It's a public post. And these are questions that people are asking. And that is why it's up there. So,
so now you just saw that. Look at the name on that. Community post, Trev Times community post. That sounds like a young man and saying about DV and all this other stuff, this nonsense. That's from a boy that wants to help find a missing person. It sounds like a boy that has
are asking
a axe to grind.
And that is why it's up there. So before we go any further, we'll go back, and this is another. I have had many questions about this, about supposedly Sebastian's grandmother spoke out last night, and he said, Trev apparently quoted her from some comments on a YouTube chat. Is there anything that you want to say about this particular comment? Because I have been messaged multiple times about this. If you want to address it,
I want you guys to read that. It says, Sebastian's grandmother, Seth's mother, spoke out last night. I will quote her below. The comments did come on a YouTube chat, but I did verify with another family member that it was her. Robin stated, I absolutely believe there is foul play. And let me say that Chris couldn't charm me because he became verbally abusive toward me in a split second. She also said he was afraid of his stepdad. As of today, nobody has been named a suspect, and there has been cooperation from all parents.
And if you don't want to, you don't have to. I just wanted to ask you.
I will address it. I have, like I said, if somebody's refusing to address something that shows suspicion,
Oh, you mean like your failure to explain where this man was, the stepdad was, where he was accounted for, being not divulging that. Cameras will not divulge that. Keys will not divulge that. Geez. Let's listen to his statement again.
I just wanted to ask you.
I will address it. I have, like I said, if somebody's refusing to address something that shows suspicion.
So it shows suspicion on his whereabouts, the keys, and the camera. The cameras, potentially.
I have no problems to address this. The grandmother, which is Seth, Robin is the name. She is Seth's biological father's mom. She made her statement on whatever YouTube channel. That's fine.
Thank you, Trev.
What I can say on that is real simple. Like I said earlier in this podcast, kids are going to say things. They're going to get upset because you're a parent and they don't like your answers.
So I guess Sebastian lied about being fearful of his stepfather because it was just kids being kids.
Sebastian has said, like I said before, the same thing about his biological father.
I have not heard those statements yet. This is the first time I heard any statement that he said about his own father. That's interesting.
But when you sit your kids down and you explain to them that being a parent, you have to do things that they don't like, unfortunately.
And this is a man that has backhanded a little, how old was Nina's kid? Busted his lip, backhanded his own daughter. This is the kind of parent and parenting style that kids should be accustomed to.
But when you sit your kids down and you explain to them that being a parent, you have to do things that they don't like, unfortunately, it is what it is. We're not, as parents, everybody knows we're not to be our child's best friends. We're there to be parents. As a parent, your job in life is to make sure your offspring grow up to be better than we.
Let me make it clear for everybody here, Sebastian Rogers is not his stepfather's offspring. I just want to make sure, in case you guys don't know, Seth Rogers is that child's offspring, or that child Seth Rogers' offspring, not this man's.
Ever have been or get things better than we ever could get. And that's your legacy. That's our job. And kids don't like it. They're not going to understand because they're still young. Their minds are being molded. But eventually they're going to grow up. And when they have their own kids, they're going to look back and go, man, our parents were right. Because everybody that's an adult that has kids right now, not one person can say, no, he's wrong. Because you've all done it. We still do it. And that's
We still do it. We still do it. So you've had multiple CPS complaints, multiple visits by CPS, and you still think your styling preference is proper in their legacy and this man's legacy. That's a little strange and some change.
just part of it.
Right. And thank you, Trev, for being here. I thought this was a very important, when I saw this, it really kind of shocked me. And I felt like, while you're willing, to answer questions, I thought it was an important question to ask. She said Chris verbally abused her, and that's very different than parenting. I just wanted to ask because people have a lot of questions. And so that was, I just wanted to ask you, and it was, no shade to Trev time. He just was posting that that's what happened in the chat, and he did verify that it was her. So, I just wanted to bring it straight to you. The best way to clarify is to ask.
To clear up her statement about me being verbally abusive to her. Unfortunately, she's not going to tell you the full story. But there's always, remember, 3 sides to the truth: hers, mine, and the truth in itself. So you can
So you admit that you're already lying.
Me and the grandmother had a conversation, and this all stems back to an incident that a family member did. That as the parents, we had consulted with law enforcement about something. They recommended not doing it.
A family member? Hold on. Let's listen to this very closely.
An incident that a family member did.
An incident that a family member did. That's interesting. Incident. A family member did. This is interesting.
Me and the grandmother had a conversation, and this all stems back to an incident that a family member did. That as the parents, we had consulted with law enforcement about something.
They had to consult with law enforcement over something a family member did. This is interesting.
They recommended not doing it. Lo and behold.
Recommended not doing it. This guy is speaking in circles. Recommended not doing what? Recommended, let me write this down, not doing, and I'm putting it in quotations, it. What is it?
Something happened and something was done against what we decided. I reached out to the mom and asked for her help. During that conversation, some accusations got flung in my direction and toward my wife, which the mother or the grandmother actually doesn't have the whole story. She has never once sat down with me, my wife, her son, and gotten the full truth on everything. She's only heard one side of the story. And I can promise you, I've got text messages and I'm not afraid to show them. I'm not afraid to screenshot them and let the public see it. Now, I will say, unfortunately, none of this has to do with the investigation of our.
I like how this guy knows exactly what has to do with the investigation and what doesn't have to do with the investigation, while he's talking in circles and not answering the question.
Son. But yes, we had a heated discussion. Yes, I sent her an apology for the heated discussion. And I've never received anything back from the grandmother, which I have always left that door open.
Really? Like a woman's going to get chewed out by a man aggressively, verbally abused, and an apology is just supposed to make it all better. Maybe with the women that he usually is accustomed to dating, maybe that's how it rolls. But normal people, you're abusive, they walk.
In fact, the day when they got into town, I invited them to my house and welcomed them in. They stayed for a couple hours, then they left. I helped them guide them to the direction where they were putting their RV, and have always made it abundantly clear that regardless, people are going to have their disputes. Doors always open.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Except when it comes to a 15-year-old autistic boy that walks out of the home, and then it's pack up everything and go to a different state.
Find that. Cluminati, yes, asked this several times in chat, so I want to go ahead and address that. Where can locals be looking for Sebastian?
Back when that chick actually had scruples before she started getting paid by the family to run interference.
Cluminati is local to your area, and she would like to know where you would like for people to be looking for Sebastian so they can be looking there. Is there any areas that you and Katie want to have people that are out there searching, where you want them to be hanging flyers? What can you tell us about that?
Everywhere.
Oh, everywhere. Flyers everywhere. Make sure you guys capture that. We need to have flyers everywhere. And I don't think that it was stated on this everywhere, but not Bullhorn Betty.
I mean, everywhere. I mean, for me to give you a designated area would suspect that we think he's in an area. Well, we don't know.
They haven't even tried to know, nor have they got off their ass to look.
So anywhere and everywhere, people be very vigilant. Please be vigilant.
Be vigilant, because this whole family's crazy, and they like to stalk people, hunt them down, and harass them for doing exactly what he asked them to do. Don't forget that.
Be surprised in how complacent we as society get when we're not focused on things. We're so driven on our day-to-day functions that we forget.
Or self-preservation activities.
About things that are going around us. We're all guilty, myself included. You know, anywhere and everywhere you can look. If there's not a flyer and you can print one off and post it up where you don't see a flyer, please do. I'm speaking for all.
Careful, guys. I wouldn't be following this guy's advice, because the last person that took his advice broke out in handcuffs from this very man.
All three parents.
Over lies.
Where you can look. If there's not a flyer and you can print one off and post it up where you don't see a flyer, please do. I'm speaking for all three parents and all the families. We would greatly appreciate that. We send prayers, our thoughts, and our love out to everyone. I promise you, if there was a way we could make it felt and we could show it, we would.
We appreciate that, and we're happy. We're happy to help in any way that we can to find Sebastian. Ginger Snaps has a question. Can any of Sebastian's school friends drive?
So I think there's a misconception about what he calls friends. He's not in normal classes. He's in like what they call it, Why We Try program. So any kids with.
I thought he was in this normal classes. He's saying that they're not in normal classes, and he's still not answering the question. He feels like dogging this boy first, instead of just saying, no, none of his friends drive. He's got to put his dig in about how incapable Sebastian is.
With IEPs and et cetera, things of that nature, are put into this class where they have 3 or 4 teachers or assistants in the room with a teacher at one given time. And while that goes on, there's not many kids in the class. So if Sebastian says they're a friend and they talk to him, he considers them a friend.
Most people do consider people friends after they talk to them and they have something in common. You know? Especially young kids.
But he doesn't He doesn't have friends like most kids that would go and, hey, I'm going over to Johnny and Sue.
So the very simple question is, does any of his friends at school drive? It's yes or no. Not dog on this boy and say he has no friends and he's just different and nobody likes him. What a great step parent.
His house to hang out because of his social awkwardness. It's very difficult for him to make friends, and he's actually asked for Christmas.
Did we have, out of this 15-minute dissertation about how horrible Sebastian is about making friends, does he even answer the question of whether any of Sebastian's friends drive?
You know, we ask, what do you want for Christmas? And I just
Still
want
no
friends.
answer.
Right.
That's, I mean, we're at that level, but.
So no friends. So there's no possibility of him leaving with friends. So that's off the list, guys. No friends, okay? No third parties. If you notice, every time these people talk, the mom and the stepfather, they explain exactly why this child did not leave that house on his own, and how he was not abducted or left with a third party. If you listen to them, they say everything you need to hear.
No, unfortunately, he does not associate with kids that can drive.
Okay. Finally.
So I wish.
Finally, we got an answer. Finally.
I wish he had a lot of friends, but I think after this, and when he comes home, this boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do.
Okay, and Doodlebug Fart says, I wonder if Sebastian knows how to connect his switch to Wi-Fi. Like, had he ever done that before?
No, ma'am. He does not have the ability. We have the Wi-Fi locked down, so you have to request to join it, and then that request has to be approved by us. But his switch actually has parental controls on it set forth by his mom.
Okay.
So no internet, just the fun fact of breakfast that morning. You know, we'll keep going.
And Vet Girl RWB.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Does he have the same rules at his dad's house?
No, ma'am, I don't believe so. We respect, like, what he does at his dad's house is under his dad's roof. We do stay in communications as far as like his behavior. Hey, this is what's going on. This is the punishment he's received.
Punishment. Remember, they kept saying he wasn't in trouble. He wasn't in trouble. He wasn't in trouble. Now here comes the how he always is in trouble.
It's up to you if you want to continue that at your house, vice versa. It's like I said, there's three of us, and we are extremely respectful toward one another when it comes to Sebastian. You'd be surprised. It's not like it's a tug of war game. It's very, very cooperative among all three parents.
Okay.
Did Sebastian want to live with his dad?
Say again, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Was Sebastian excited about living with his biological dad?
Well, that depends on what day you ask him, to be honest with you. There's days he was and days he wasn't. I mean, like I said, when a kid gets in trouble, I don't like you. Well, I'm sorry. And then an hour later, he, like, nothing happened. So like I said, it's up or down.
Okay.
And I'm seeing this in chat, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask, is there a particular reason that you laugh before you answer a question? I've got my thoughts on it, but I think it would be better if you just took it.
That's fine. There are some questions that when people ask, I have heard these questions so many times.
From who? From who? This is the fourth interview. From who? We've only got 4 confirmed interviews on the record. This is the 4th one. How many times? We have not heard these questions asked, not once.
As much as people are on social media and they read the responses, I still get the same questions. So it's tiresome, but you know what? I told everybody I would answer the questions. So yeah, in a way, it's kind of funny that I keep getting the same questions over and over and over. But
Funny.
like I've told everybody,
It's funny that he keeps getting the same questions over and over, yet a child has been missing over 20 days at this point.
I respect them. I will answer them.
Doesn't even sound concerned like they have a child missing. If you were listening to this and you did not know this person had a missing child, you would not think that this is what the interview's about, period.
Okay.
But trust me, by any means, is this fun? No. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy at all.
Artie, do you have a question before I read that girl's next?
On my first enemy. Has everybody heard this entire interview? I mean, so far, very little bit about Sebastian, all about self-preservation, all about wanting to answer the questions, all about trying to deceive the public and thinking that these people have passed polygraphs and there's nothing to see over here. But we still have no concern from the mom or the stepdad that it's been 20 days, the longest they've ever been without their freaking child, and there seems to be no concern. And this guy, this Yahoo, thinks it's comical. Comical. Funny, he says.
Question.
I think he's muted.
Okay. Go Bulldogs. Katie is there with Chris, but if she wants to speak, she will speak.
Katie,
yes, she is.
Vet girl ordered. I think we have a delay, Crystal, because it's okay.
I think we do.
Let me ask this question real quick.
How many shoes did Sebastian have?
Say it one more time.
How many pairs of shoes did Sebastian have?
Well,
I'm not going to tell you how many shoes he has, but I will say that all of the shoes he has are accounted for.
Did y'all catch Mom?
I
It
didn't
broke
quite
up a
hear.
little bit for me. Did you hear?
Okay. She said that she would not divulge how many pairs of shoes he has, but law
My understanding is there was only 3.
enforcement has accounted for every pair of shoes.
I have accounted for all of his shoes.
Okay. Vet girl says, can you ask what Sebastian's normal school night routine is? Like some kids like to have their shower or a favorite blanket, their favorite pajamas. Please and thanks.
Sure. Sebastian comes home, gets off to school.
Why is he answering this question? Why is he answering this question? He was not there that night.
Bus comes in the house, does his chores, completes his homework,
First time we hear about chores.
eats dinner. That time kind of varies. I don't have a set time on that. Bedtime, we normally have it right around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Sebastian gets a shower most of the time before he goes to bed, around 7 o'clock ish.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like I said, he's in the bed by 9 o'clock.
We heard a shower around 7 p.m. The specific words from his mother was that they came back from the roadhouse and he went to his room to play. That was around 6:30, 6:45, and he never came out of that room until she told him to go to bed. So it doesn't sound like, based upon the prior stories that we've heard from the mother, that this boy would have had taken a shower or brushed his teeth before going to bed. That, to me, is a little odd, especially a mother of an autistic child not making sure that those things were done that evening. That's from her own words, not mine.
And Sebastian didn't have anyone that lived in the area that he hung out with at all that lives near you?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
No friends. Remember that. No friends. Didn't barely go out of their house.
All right. Thank you.
We heard the neighbors say that they knew that there was a boy that lived there, but they never saw him. And there's no indication on the outside of the house that any type of child lives in that home. No playground, no bicycle, no basketball, no toys outside to play with, no nothing.
Thank you, Alicia P, for that question. And then Alan Tank says, what's Sebastian like with people outside the family that he doesn't know? Is he shy with strangers? Is he outgoing?
So that question you asked earlier in the podcast, it depends. Each day it kind of varies. He can be shy. He can be talkative. With most kids, he don't hold back when it comes to kids. He is like, he's got a up close and in your face kind of thing that he's got to work on. So it kind of makes it difficult. With adults, it depends. There are some days he doesn't even want to talk to family members, and some days he may. It just kind of depends.
Well, it sounds like that morning he wanted to brag to all the family members about his fun breakfast he had. So was he talking or was he not talking? Interesting.
Okay, and hang on one second. I'm just getting to the next
and just
one.
to let
Artie,
guys,
did you?
When I'm on this side, I can't see the comments, so I'm not ignoring your comments. I just don't see them on my screen. As soon as I get back over there, I'll go through the comments that we have. So if you guys want to hold them, I'll let you know when I'm back over there. But right now, I'm on the screen that shows the interview.
Crystal, have a question that you wanted to ask?
No.
If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed to the Bullhorn Betty channel, please consider subscribing to the Bullhorn Betty channel. If you'd like to support in more ways, you can become a member. Super chat, super stickers, and super thanks are always appreciated. And also maybe change the bell to all so you don't miss any important updates on this case or other crime cases that we cover.
I really want to make sure that the audience has a chance to get all their questions in.
Yeah, I'm going through each one of them right now. Some of them have already been asked, so I'm not asking those. Let's see. Alan Tank says, does Katie look in on him if she gets up to use the bathroom or anything in the night usually?
Not normally. I've never really had a whole reason to. I mean, now.
Not normally. You got an autistic child with fluid on the brain that anything could happen at any given time, and you don't check on him? I'm 45 years old, and when I sleep at my mother's house, she checks on me.
That he's older, at least. He gets up in the middle of the night and he comes in and gets snacks, and the dogs don't even bark.
Middle of the night and gets up and gets snacks. So why didn't he get up and get snacks that night before he left the house, if that's what he's accustomed to doing? Doesn't make sense.
Bark at him because he shushes them and they know him, but
so it sounds like the dogs do make noise. This is interesting. Let's listen.
Now that he's older, at least, he gets up in the middle of the night and he comes in and gets snacks, and the dogs don't even bark at him because he shushes them and they know him, but no.
Shushes them. It doesn't sound like they don't make any noise if he shushes them.
I've never, since he's gotten older, I don't really have a reason to peek in on him and wake him up.
Wake him up? My mama, I'm 45 years old. I don't remember the last time my mama woke me up, but I guarantee she checks on me.
And does he get up and down normally throughout the night on a regular basis? True Crime Cafe with Dago ask.
Honestly, he gets up and down at different times, different nights. I mean, not always. He goes in the kitchen and he'll sneak snacks and sweets and things he knows he's not supposed to be having.
Sneak snacks and sweets, things he's not supposed to be having. I don't recall ever being restricted on what I'm allowed and not allowed to eat at my house. I remember I used to go home And my mom would order all this food from those delivery services. This was back in the 90s. And I remember we had these prepackaged T-bones. And every day after school, I would go and broil myself. I'd season a T-bone and broil it and eat it. My mom had no clue. Now, she was a little upset that I ate all the T-bones in a couple weeks, but they didn't lock the freezer.
Typical kids do. But for the most part, I mean, that may be about it. And then he goes right back to his bedroom.
So so we have to understand this. Let me come over here to the main screen. I'm gonna put myself up on the big screen. Now I'm back. I'll read some of your comments here in just a minute. So now we have information that states that this boy is up and down all hours of the night, has never left in the middle of the night before, up getting snacks and things that he's not supposed to have according to his stepfather. Things that he knows he's not allowed to have in the middle of the night, according to his stepfather. So if this boy is accustomed to getting up and never leaving the home, why this particular night? And again, it comes back to why in the world would he not take the snacks that he's accustomed to getting in the middle of the night with him when he left in the middle of the night, especially after their big shopping at BJ's, where they got snacks, because he's a growing boy and growing boy needs snacks, right? So, you know what? Come over here. Aw. So we got Grace Upon Grace. Oh, thank you. Thank you. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Bidding membership, please don't forget to tell Grace Upon Grace. Thank you. We got Gypsy. He only says he cannot answer only things that will incriminate him. Bing, 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 bing. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wake you up. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Don't go back to sleep, please. Go back to sleep, please. And Ginger gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships, please don't forget to tell Ginger thank you. Thank you so much, Ginger. God bless you. God bless all of you for all of your help and support. Also, we do have legal funds, as you see down below, the tickler that's running across there. If you guys would like to help with the legal expenses for these very people that keep lying and can't seem to keep their story straight and, all this other stuff, we're trying to raise money. I've got, it looks like we're coming to the end of the legal bills, the unending legal expenses that were associated with this. I think we're right up to about $10,000 or more. I just had to fork over another $1,000 just yesterday. Well, $1,030 just yesterday for the 10th, because we need the court reporter, and he ate up the court reporter money to file a motion. So I had to pony up another $1,000, which I told you I knew was going to happen. I knew it. So it sounds like this is about the end of the road for any more funds that need to be going out. So I think we're at our stopping point now where we can start paying some of that $4,500 back. So if you guys would like to participate in that, we're a dollar will do campaign. So we don't want anybody donating $1 that they cannot afford. But if you can, and you would like to support us in this unlawful BS that these parents did to me, please consider making the donations to Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Those are not staying with me. Those are to pay back the Good Samaritan that ponied up $4,500 for me. That is quite a lot of money. No one person should be on the hook for that kind of money. And so we're just trying to spread it out and pay it back as much as we can. Like I said, we're going to try to do right about $1,000, anywhere between $750 and $1,000 a month. And that should get us paid off in about 4 months, 5 months. So it's not going to be too hard on me. It's not going to be too hard on the channel. It's not going to be too hard on the subscribers. But it does have to be paid back. You know, again, it's no one person should be on the hook for that kind of money when they jumped into action because I needed their help. So I do appreciate it for that Good Samaritan that was able to help the way that they were able to help. So they did not want their secrets exposed by someone who will tell the truth. In addition to laziness, didn't expose to outside activities, other outside of school, which is mandatory. There was nothing there. I had ate a T-bone or anything without specific permission. My parents would have beat me with an inch. With an inch of my life. Not my mom. Not my mom. She was fit to be tied when she went. When I ate all of them, she didn't realize I was eating the steak until they were all gone. And then when she went to go make dinner and couldn't pull out the T-bones that she wanted to have for dinner, then she's like, "What happened to the?" Because they thought somebody was coming on the property and taking food out of the freezer, and it wasn't. It was just me having an afternoon snack from school. In my opinion, they certainly did not plan for questions when he allegedly left as a runaway. Yeah, no. I absolutely 100% believe that this family did not believe that this would blow up the way it did and become such a national case. And they were just trying to, this is a 15-year-old boy. He ran away from home. Nothing to see over here. He'll come back when he's ready. That's what they wanted everybody to believe. And they were hoping that out of sight, out of mind, over time, people would forget about him. But what they did not account for is the love of this boy's father that keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and getting his son's name out there. That's what they did not have. They did not put into the equation. His father's fight. His father wants answers. And more importantly, his father, Seth Rogers, wants his son, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, home with him. And he wanted him yesterday. And still 7 months down the road, he's got no answers. He's the only one with a face full of tears, and I want to know why. I want to know, as a woman, as a stepmom, why is he the only one with a face full of tears? Why are strangers that don't know this boy with a face full of tears? But not the mother and not the stepfather that lived with this boy predominantly. I want to know why. That's what I want to know. But we will never, ever get those answers. I can guarantee that. We will never get those answers.
Okay. Bobby James asks, can Chris comment on why you are threatening lawyers about the Bio Dad's GoFundMe?
This is interesting. And let me just say for the record, before we go much further in this conversation as well, for all the yahoos and idiots and uneducated people with an opinion and a microphone, the GoFundMe was specifically set up for living expenses. People donated to that GoFundMe to help Seth with his living expenses. Okay? Now we've got yahoos on here raising $25,000 for lawyers and $70,000 for lawyers, and still with their hand out because $70,000 just isn't enough for them. And they haven't even spent $20,000 yet. Just to throw that out there. Right? So why is all these people that have nothing to do with this case allowed to raise money on the backs of this child, but the sister, the aunt of this child, can't raise funds for her brother's living expenses while he's taking off work to look for his son? That is some horse manure that I have ever seen. And if you will come to this chat with this bull crap about his GoFundMe, you will get your ass handed to you. I promise you, I will do it myself. I don't want to hear it. I don't care about the argument. If a yahoo that is a despicable woman that's lost all of her children living in a freaking trailer in Pennsylvania can raise $25,000 off the back of this child, his father's entitled to living expenses while he searches for his son. Enough said.
So the conversation of that is not threatening the bio father with attorneys. That conversation that flew out between me, the father was in the house, his sister was on the phone. We asked them to take that down. That goes back to one of the questions as far as one of the things we all agreed not to do.
Because they didn't want to make this a big deal. You guys see that? That's what got under Chris's skin, is because they didn't want attention to this case, and raising some funds because a man has his son is missing is bringing attention to this case. And that's what Chris did not want to happen.
Because even with law enforcement, it says it could portray a bad look. So we all...
A bad look? How? We do it all the time for every single one of our cases. Only the stupid idiots that want to bring up stupid things say it's not allowed in this case. We all raise money for our cases and for the victims of these cases. We all do it. We all share GoFundMes. We all share ways to raise money for these families. This is not unique to this case.
All agreed not to do it. She did it anyways. And then we asked her politely to take it down first time.
You don't get to make decisions for other people, asshole.
She got nasty with us on the phone. And then I retaliated and I told her, I said, if this causes harm to our son, you can bet I will call an attorney.
If it causes harm, you mean like this boy being scared of the stepfather? The stepfather has the control. This is not even his kid, but he's the one that feels that he's in control to dictate to everybody that has this child, that has this child's best interest. He's the controller, the one person that's not related to this child by blood. This is insane.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Let's see. Was Sebastian playing with one of his devices online or on his Switch before he went to bed? Annabelle Roma asked.
None of his devices are connected to online.
Okay. All right.
But was he playing with one, I think, was more the question, and that was not answered. So was he playing with the device that night or not? I don't know. I personally don't know. I haven't heard to this point what he was doing in that room, other than he went straight to his room once they came back from the Texas Roadhouse. And he didn't leave until she didn't come out until she told him to go to bed.
Right. And Kiko asked, was he having trouble at school with anyone? Or was he being bullied that you're aware of?
Not that we know of. The administrators that work with him are honestly pretty great, and they try to pay attention and be aware, not only for Sebastian, but all of those kids. So they do their best to make sure that everyone's treating them respectfully and vice versa. Not to say that, kids are kids, but for the most part, they feel pretty confident that they do a pretty good job at taking care of the kids.
Okay. And Ginger Snaps wants to know, how long did it take him to take out the trash? Could he have met someone when he was taking out the trash?
Only a couple minutes.
So this is the first time any trash has been brought up in an interview, in a public interview. And this is the first statement that they said. So there must have been some type of statements on social media from the parents, the mom or the stepdad or both, related to his chores that had not come out in the interviews. So I'm interested in this. Let me just back up.
And Ginger Snaps wants to know, how long did it take him to take out the trash? Could he have met someone when he was taking out the trash?
Only a couple minutes.
Our driveway's not very long. I think our driveway might be...
A couple minutes. That's a long time. So...
50 feet, maybe 75 feet long, and that's from front to back.
Okay, and guys, we're approaching midnight, so I'm not going to be able to take very many more questions because I still have a few that I need to get to get to. So I may not be able to get to all of your questions, but the ones that I've already been submitted from this point on, I'm going to try to get to. I see there's a lot of questions that we've already answered. So,
Chris, has Jordan's device has been took?
Say again, ma'am. I'm so sorry.
The devices in the home, have they all been looked at by law enforcement?
Yes, ma'am, they have. And I believe if they go and look in that TBI news link that I was talking about, it may be listed as Amber Alert updates or something of that nature. There's a section in that news article that does talk about technology, and that should be able to answer those questions. But to answer yours, yes, everything has been thoroughly looked at in our house as well as the father's house, excuse me.
Okay, and where's Summer 1-800-TBI-FIND ask, did Sebastian have bad meltdowns with any anger? With the meltdowns that he had recently, being this age now?
I mean, I don't know what you call a bad meltdown. I mean,
I think any parent with an autistic child knows exactly what is being asked here. I don't have an autistic child, but I've learned a lot about autistic children, and I know exactly what they're asking here. And this Yahoo's acting dumb.
was he a violent kid? No. Did he cry? Did he have a temper tantrum? Yes.
Okay. And he did take his eyeglasses with him. They were not found, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And True Crime Cafe with Dago said, with all due respect, was he anxious one way or the other to be moving in with his bio dad?
Like I said before, yes. I mean, he was ups and downs about it. There was days he was happy, days he's not. One of the things I'll tell you right now that he doesn't like, his dad's a smoker. You know, he doesn't like that his dad smokes. So, I mean, he's like, no, I don't want to because my dad smokes. But after you talk with him, you know, that's not a valid reason not to be moving in with his father.
Sounds like this man really wants this kid to go live with his father. Just saying. Not a good reason not to live with him. He's ready to pack him up and send him out now, right? Where is he? Where is this boy? His name's Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. We don't know.
Someone asked, Happy Hemp Creations, how do you redirect any meltdowns that he has?
Depends on who he's with. Every parent handles him very much differently.
Sometimes you can just give him
it depends on who he's with. Every parent handles him differently. That implies this child is always around a parent. Kind of hard for a third-party abductor to come in and swoop in and steal a kid in the middle of the night in a locked home.
a pressure hug with light squeezing and talk to him calmly and calm him down. And other times you can tell him to go to his room because that's his space, and tell him to take 5.
Go to his room because that's his space. Well, it so happens that he went straight to his room after Texas Roadhouse. Is that because he needed to go calm down because of the overstimulating day? I got questions.
I mean, there's times where me and him go outside and we'll have a discussion. Like, tell me what's on your mind, dude. I give you free reign. Talk to me. Let it out. I don't care what it is. Just say it. If that's what helps you, say it.
Because he doesn't want to say a curse in front of Mama.
Yeah, he that's one thing he's been good about. I was like, look, don't ever do it in front of your mama. That's all I'm asking. But if you and I go out somewhere and you want to do it, I'll give you no consequences. I'll give you some time to do your thing. And he does it. He'll cry. He'll get all of his thoughts and his feelings out, and he'll cry, and then he'll give me a big old hug and say,
don't do it in front of his mother. What happens if he does?
I'm sorry, and I love you. We hug it out. I'm like, it's all right, buddy. Trust me. Everybody's got to have an outlet.
But we tell him, like, if you need to yell and scream or be angry, just say, I need a minute to do that. And then, whatever you say during that time frame, you don't get in trouble for it. And if you got to curse, you got to curse, but only when you're doing the free time. That way it sets a limitation so that he's not just, free balling all the time with curse words.
So it sounds like they're okay with curse words, but not the internet. That seems odd to me. Does that seem odd to anybody else? Like I'm picking up a lot of stuff that's just weird here for me, about this cussing and free range and all of this stuff and that stuff. It seems odd that parents are okay with cussing and giving an outlet so he can cuss, but no internet time for a 15-year-old boy? She never gave a hoot enough. What does it say? To say anything to this child? Yeah, I really can't get what Ellie is doing. I have a funny feeling they're waiting. That's what I have a funny feeling. I think that they're waiting on something. That's what I think. They're waiting for stuff to get back. This stuff takes time to process. It just does. Oh, Terry F., thank you. Thank you for gifting one Bullhorn Buddy membership. If you received your Bullhorn Buddy membership from Terry, please don't forget to say thank you.
When he's with his father that I know of, that we've all discussed, they'll go fishing. They like to do a lot of fishing. And that's
with his father. Let's listen to that.
When he's with his father that I know of, that we've all discussed, they'll go fishing. They like.
So it sounds like all the activity that this boy does outside of the house is done when he's with his father.
Like to do a lot of fishing, and that's where he has his moments with his dad, and they have their discussions. So I mean, like I said, it varies with each parent.
One parent is more active in this child's life and does things with this child and is proud of their child, and one parent is not, along with her husband.
Okay. David Bryant sent a super chat and he has a question, and I'm not sure why this even applies, but I'm going to ask it. David Bryant says, CP said, let questions fly. So, Katie, did you have an active dating profile at the time Sebastian went missing? Any sort of dating profile? I'm not sure.
I don't actually have a problem answering that. I've never had a dating profile.
I hope that helps, David Bryant. And then True Crime Cafe with Dago says, how often does your daughter get to visit Chris? Respectfully, I've seen a lot of comments in this chat tonight saying that you did not want your daughter and Sebastian to be around each other. And I'm just not sure where that's coming from. Can you talk to me about that?
Sure. I got no problem. So I have a parenting plan with my ex-wife. I get her every other year on spring breaks. I get her in the summers. And I get her, like, we split the Christmas time frame.
Okay.
My parenting plan is very much like the mom's with her ex-husbands. The only difference between the two is he lives here. So, and we have a great relationship with each other. So it's easy to be like, hey, can I help you this weekend? Sure, man, whatever. It's not like it's turmoil between everybody.
Okay, because
that didn't answer the question as to why Faith was not allowed to have any type of physical contact or visible contact with her her stepbrother. That's not answering that question.
I was noticing that there were comments saying that the reason Sebastian was going to live with Seth is because your daughter is coming to move in with you, and that you don't want your daughter around Sebastian. And I just wanted to get clarification on that.
Whoever feels or believes, if you've got proof of that, please show it to me. I'll be happy to address it, but I'll tell you right now, I don't have custody of my daughter like that. I wished I did. Sebastian going to his father's has nothing to do with my daughter at all.
Okay.
It was marital problems.
Thank you for clarifying that.
I think it's
You're
multiple
welcome.
reasons. Sorry, my thing here is not. Bear with me.
I will say, like, everybody out there, thank you for the questions. I'm glad that we can help clear some of this out. I've told everybody online, like, look, I'm respectful, I'm direct, and I'm brash, but ask a question, I'll get to them and I'll answer them the best of my ability. There are thousands and millions of people, but there's only 3 of us, and we are doing our best to being able to address people as we can.
Okay. And the reason I was asking because
But the weird thing is Seth was not on Facebook. However, the mom and stepdad were. And I think that's what got them in problems because they kept forgetting what response they gave to one person versus another. And people were like looking at 2 separate responses and saying this doesn't make sense.
Alicia P. had made the comment, the problem is you're seeking custody of your daughter. And if you don't want Sebastian around your daughter, just how was that going to work, Chris? Because now Sebastian is missing. That's why people want to know. So that was why I asked.
No, I understand. And I can see where people's correlations are trying to put 1 and 2 together. Unfortunately, it's 2 different puzzles.
Okay.
My case with my ex-wife, that is a whole totally different situation. At some point, eventually, I can let that out. Right now, that's still in an ongoing court battle. And to be honest with y'all, because of all of this with Sebastian, it has actually caused some issues in that court case, which unfortunately it is what it is. And hopefully I'll have some good news and I'll let you guys know. Hopefully something here soon.
Okay.
Chris, can it be verified that you were in Memphis?
Yes, very much. Very much.
What is law enforcement allowing you all to do to look for Sebastian?
We're doing everything we can.
Anything we can, as long as it does not hinder the investigation. So if people want more specifics.
So technically they could have had their butts out in the woods looking for their son and chose not to.
We've got flyers that are going out anywhere and everywhere we can put them out.
Let's clarify that. They're not putting them out. They're handing them off to other people to put out because they've sheltered in place. And then when it was getting a little too intense, they decide to leave and go to another state during the heart of major search efforts.
We actually were able to get some yard signs, kind of like the signs that go in the yard for kind of like real estate agents. We got some of those missing. We got those put out, spread through all out the state. Some in different states itself: Alabama, Mississippi, a few in Kentucky, all the way up to Louisville. I believe we even got some down in Georgia.
Flyers that we've put out.
Flyers. We got flyers that travel throughout various states. Billboards throughout the entire state of Tennessee. I can tell you that I've seen 7 from Nashville to Memphis that I can confirm.
But we're also out and about.
But we do have, we are like feet on the ground looking. We're constantly trying to think of different ways. We're reaching out in various positions, and people might be able to bring something to the table that we don't know about. There are some companies out there that are amazing.
And foundations that work with missing children. We've been reaching out to them as well.
Yeah.
They're reaching out to all these places for help, but not doing what they can do to help themselves, which is get out there. They know their child better than anybody. They would know how their child thinks. They would know how their child walks, how their child would act, where their child may go. And they're sitting their ass in their home or in an RV in a different state.
Yeah, I know that you've been working with the Aware Foundation. I do a lot of work with them. So
Well, them and EquiSearch, the National Center, the Class Foundation, just to name a couple.
Yeah, the Class Foundation is a great foundation. I did want to let you know that if you reach out to Lamar Media, they're a billboard company, and sometimes they will provide free billboards for children that are missing too, if you reach out to them.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll definitely get that looked into.
And I did send you that link, Katie, but I will send it again to you after the live stream to make sure that you have it.
Individually, what do you all think should happen is to the person if somebody abducted Sebastian?
That is not for us to determine. That is
What? I think we did this the last time we were on here, and I was like, I would be hanging them from their toes. If somebody abducted my child, I would be hanging them from their toes, their toenails. Most very, very, very painful. If somebody abducted my child and you've got no comment, you got comment about his incontinence. You got comments about how he doesn't make friends. You got comments about how he's in personal space. You've got comments that the only thing he does good is chess. But you do not have comments when it comes to what you think should happen to somebody that abducted a medically needy child, your alleged child, the one that you say you allegedly love. I can tell you right now what I would say in a situation like that. I pray to God he gets prison, whoever it is, gets prison for the rest of their life. That's what I can say. And I ain't the parent.
Sebastian.
That is not for us to determine. That is, if somebody has Sebastian, all I'm going to say is that is nothing that we want to be a part of until that.
What? If somebody has Sebastian, that's something we don't want to be a part of? What the? Oh my God. I forgot all about this.
For us to determine. That is, if somebody has Sebastian, all I'm going to say is that is nothing that we want to be a part of until that is legal. That is law enforcement agency. That has nothing to do with us. We just
They go to jail, so I don't.
Mom.
The only time I have ever hear parents say statements like that, well, you guys already know because you guys are right here with me day in and day out. That's bad.
I'm just saying she better hope they go to jail.
Well,
about time somebody speaks up and says they should go to jail. I'm glad somebody was thinking on their toes instead of just roaming a bunch of words around in their noggin.
What I think should happen, I think that their ass needs to be passed around the jail like a goddamn honey bun.
Well, I mean, trust me.
Slow up there, buddy. This person might be in the one going. We don't want that. Terrifies the stepfather. Him being passed around. Woo! Let's back up. Hold your horses here. Hold your horses, guys.
Well, I will say what I think should happen. I think that their ass needs to be passed around the jail like a goddamn honey bun.
Well, I mean, trust me. I have my own personal opinions, but
All I have to say is they better pray they go to jail before I get my hands on them if I find out someone's hurting my baby.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks for piping up there, Cupcake.
All I'm going to say is we have a legal system, and let them go through that aspect of it. And in the end, karma has a name. It will come around and show its face, and eventually they will have to answer.
Yeah, karma's coming. Karma's coming. This stepfather's right. The stepfather's right.
Answer for what they've done.
Truecom Cafe with Dago said, are there any abandoned or empty homes in your area close to you?
There's a construction, another subdivision that's building right next door to our subdivision. All of those houses and everything over there have been thoroughly searched. I couldn't tell you how many times over our entire subdivision has been scoured. Our our neighbors, everybody around us has opened their homes willingly and worked with law enforcement. So, I mean, barns, everything got checked.
I did have one. I did have one question. I saw where a dog had tracked Sebastian's scent to a construction site. Have they dug that site up to see if there was any sign of Sebastian there?
The law enforcement and every search agency and everybody that's been involved has scoured that place up and down. And
Let's clarify this for the record. According to law enforcement, they've never picked up on a scent of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Whether we believe them or not, I don't know. It appears that a dog tracked a scent. The question is, was it Sebastian's? Because law enforcement is saying, nope, it was not.
And out, there was a pond that was mentioned, a retention pond. It was only knee deep. They did drain it, and they have found nothing.
That reminds me of another question. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I know you've already answered that they took your devices. The computer and stuff that Sebastian used at his biological dad's, did they take that as well?
Yes, ma'am. Everything has been completely between both households. Everything has been extremely thoroughly scanned, reviewed, everything.
Okay, well, that's good to know. They took the devices from his bio dad's house too.
And if they want to come back and get more devices, like I said, we've opened this house up.
So there's more devices. Interesting. Interesting. More devices that law enforcement did not take.
To everything. If they want it, they come and get it. There's no hesitations, and off they go.
Okay. And you and Katie have been out to do some searches yourself and hang up flyers. Is that true? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we have. We've gone out numerous places and hung up flyers. We've gotten with motorcycle chapters and groups and gotten them on board to help us.
I never heard of any of this. I never saw any of this in action. This is interesting.
From various cities to cities.
Just to let you know, Seth has the rescue type rides, and it seems like bikers do show up, and they show up in force, but I don't see the mom or stepdad ever there. So,
Yes, we have. We've gone out numerous places and hung up flyers. We've gotten with motorcycle chapters and groups and gotten them on board to help us. We've gone from various cities to cities. I personally have gone from Nashville to Memphis and into Mississippi and back.
And did they also take the devices from the school?
I can confirm that I only saw one sign, no signs whatsoever at all in Memphis or in Mississippi. There was only one sign, and it was on the outside of Yogi Bear Campground, and it's because I put it on the easement. There were none. No flyers, no nothing. Nobody knew this boy was missing. And there was only one gas station that recognized the stepfather, but it had been months since he had seen him, which would make sense with the timing of me being there.
School as well that Sebastian may have used when you said they took all the devices from your house and from the bio dads. Did they also take the school devices as well to look at?
Sebastian didn't have devices that he had at school. But anything and everything, if he had something, has already been scanned and thoroughly searched. And like I said, if you refer back to that TBI News link in the technology proportion, I believe all of that will answer all those questions.
Okay. All right. And Karen S. said, your dogs barked during your first TV interview. Wouldn't they have barked when Sebastian walked out the door?
Bingo.
No, because they know Sebastian. When they barked in the first interview,
Because a stranger was in the
a
house.
stranger was in the house.
They've been sitting right here the entire time.
Yeah.
So the dogs, we have confirmed the dogs do bark at strangers. Therefore, they never barked that night. Therefore, no stranger danger.
Okay. And you said there was, they had asked you if there was any flashlights that were missing, and that prompted you to go look. Tell me about that. There was
So now we're talking about flashlights, which just so happens to be 3 days. First time we talk about flashlights, and it happens to be 3 days after the Nick Baris bomb drop.
questions about the flashlight. So I just wanted you guys to reiterate that.
Right. So Sebastian had a little, it's about a little 3-inch. If you think about the little keychain flashlights, that you used to find at vendor tables, they give out for free, cheapies. It was something that he picked up at one of the local festivals, and to right now, we still this day cannot find it. So we are assuming that he took it with him because it.
But I thought the stepdad doesn't like assumptions and speculation. So they're speculating that he walked out the door and speculating that he took this little keychain flashlight with him. Just on the outside. So the first time we hear anything about flashlights is after a video purportedly of flashlights come out. I find that funny. We also learned that every time this boy does not clean his room, everything goes into a trash bag and is taken out to the garbage. How do we know this 3-inch keychain was not part of garbage when they decided to hand out this barbaric punishment to an autistic 15-year-old boy? Just saying.
Cannot be found.
Okay.
First time.
And how often does law enforcement update you guys?
Very regularly.
Okay.
Somebody verify. Let me come back over here. Can somebody verify that there was not posts about this flashlight early on? Remember, the mom made 2 Facebook posts. Somebody has captured those Facebook posts. If anybody knows where those Facebook posts are, of the 26th, February 26th, I'd like to read the one where she's talking about Sebastian not having any shoes. So if somebody has a snapshot of that, can you guys please send that to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Thank you all for being here with me. I usually don't go this long on lives. However, I'm in a dark house. I'm running on generator. It's taking my mind off the heat in the house. And so we're just going to keep pulling on through this this information. But we need to find out if this is really the first time we're hearing of this flashlight, or when the first time we heard of a flashlight was brought up. We need to fact check this. So I don't believe Ellie talked to them like he says. He only says that after Seth said they don't talk to him. Good point, Alicia. Good point. All right, I'm back to the video side.
Chris Black says, what about the initial press release where it was said that Sebastian liked to stay up late?
I don't remember hearing that, but
I don't either, but I just wanted to put that out there because I thought maybe I missed something.
Well, I mean, if he, like I said, we said earlier, he's a typical teenager, so he will get up in the middle of the night. It's hard to say. I personally don't remember that being said in the interview, and I'm sorry. And I'm not doubting it, but I mean, he's a typical teenager. He'd get up, go get snacks, and go back to his room. So
he did regularly get up at night.
Mom's saying he regularly got up at night.
Where Summer wanted to know, what's Sebastian's favorite food, drink? Is it ice cream, chips?
He is
anything with sugar in it.
Anything with sugar.
Favorite drink is probably a Yoo-Hoo.
No, he take chocolate milk over Yoo-Hoo.
Oh, well, okay. Well, chocolate drink, chocolate milk.
As long as it's not the fat-free chocolate milk that the school switched to, because he's really upset that the school switched the chocolate.
So it seems like mom has more knowledge about what this kid likes than the stepfather that's been living with him for 8 years. Interesting.
To fat-free, and now he don't like it.
Who did Sebastian love the most out of everyone?
Okay. I don't know how how I would answer that.
One day,
I mean, he
one
may
day
not have had.
5 minutes later. I mean, it just depends on when you ask him.
I mean, if I let him do what if I take him and go do something cool, oh, I'm the hero, but when I'm getting on to him, mom's the hero. When dad takes him fishing, dad's the hero. So, I mean, it's, he's got 3 parents that love him equally.
He's loved and loves all his parents. I mean, we all have our moments when we're not his favorite too. I mean, he's a kid.
And True Crime Cafe with Dago says, has anyone else in the family ever threatened to have Sebastian removed or anything like that?
No.
Okay. And does loud noises or certain smells bother him? Just curious, if law enforcement approached him with sirens, will he run or melt down?
He doesn't like loud noises, but they've known about that from the beginning. So
we've heard about that too, because that's why the elimination of the other door was removed, because he apparently does not like the sound of loud noise of the garage door.
Like if it's a song he likes, he can turn the volume up, but like fireworks, he can't stand that kind of noise. So he does have a sensitivity to sudden and loud noises. Mostly.
Do you think this boy walked out in the middle of the night? Because everything sounds 10 times louder when there's no sound at all.
Okay. And it said that he likes to hide in small places. Small places, can you give me an example of like what, where, like how small? Can you elaborate on that for us?
So he has a closet in his bedroom. And I mean, it's not a small closet. It's a good sized closet. He will get over and tuck into a corner in his closet
and play with his toys
when he's playing with his toys or he's doing something he's not supposed to.
So he's playing with his toys, and when he's is he not supposed to play with his toys?
There's a pile of Legos in the corner.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like this boy was going into a 2x2x2 space and hiding. I mean, he'd like to be in a secluded area.
Secluded area is exactly the opposite of outdoors. Exactly the opposite of outdoors.
Okay. Let's see. Beautiful Sunflower says, he said earlier he had his reason and they all agreed it was best that Sebastian not be around his daughter, and now he says that wasn't the issue. I'm confused by this statement. I guess I must have missed a part of that.
Well, to clarify what he said that he didn't have custody of his daughter, so that wasn't going to be an issue in regards to Sebastian going to live with his dad. That's not the reason why Sebastian was going to live with his dad, was so that his daughter could come and live with them.
Right. I guess I'm confused by some of these questions because I feel like it's, been answered. Let me see here. Some of these questions we have already discussed.
I can say this much. There are some screen names that I'm going to say sound familiar, and I'm not going to swear on it. They sound very familiar, of people I've addressed on Facebook.
Okay.
The sunflower one, I'm not going to say, I'm not swearing 1,000% on this, but I believe I've chatted with her. And
Okay.
she asked me why I will not go and talk to JLR. First off, if this is the same lady that
Okay.
I've addressed, I am not going to people to go to a YouTube channel for somebody to make some money on, or I'm not seeking them out. If they want to talk to me, they know how to get in touch with me, just like everybody else.
Here she is, right here.
Our ultimate goal in the end is to bring our son home.
Let me guess, by throwing everybody that searches for him in jail, or just the commentary that comes out of their mouth? Just a question. Just a question from the Peanut Gallery. It says, I'm speaking prior to his second time answering that question. He changed his answer, but it's okay.
Thank you for clarifying that, beautiful sunflower. She said, I'm speaking of prior to his second time answering that question. He changed the answer, but it's okay. I appreciate you explaining that to me. I just didn't want to mess that up. However you were wording that question, I wanted to make sure I was being clear about what I was asking. And by the way, guys, at midnight, I cut the questions off because I don't want to keep them here all night. So, but the questions that were submitted before that, we're going to wrap those up. And if Chris is willing, we can always come back and do a part 2 if there's other questions that you feel like didn't get answered.
Dutchie.
Yes, ma'am.
You got dragged through the mud for this question, so I'm going to ask it.
Okay.
He's awake.
How long have you and Katie known each other?
So my question to whoever's asking that is, what does that have to do with the investigation of our son?
Boy, they won't answer that. I wonder if it's because they were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing with each other long before they were supposed to be doing it with each other. Just saying. I don't know. It's my opinion.
There you go. I did get people came for me because I didn't allow somebody to ask that question because I didn't think it was pertinent to Sebastian being missing. But
well, I mean, it really has no pertinent to the investigation or the fact that our son is missing. But like I said, I'm respectful, I'm brash, and I'm direct to the point. To answer that person's question, I've been in Sebastian's life, half of his life. Sebastian's 15.
Half of his life. Sebastian's 15. So 7.5 years. Allegedly. I think it's probably right along 8 years. I don't know why I think that. Maybe because I think that they were both doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing while Katie was married. But that's just my opinion.
Right. I just appreciate you being willing to talk with us and answer these questions. Now, we've talked about the video. I just have to ask, did you guys happen to see the interview on the behavioral panel where they took a look at your and Katie's interview on the news?
I have not. I believe the mom has made some views of it. I personally have not.
Okay. I haven't been online very much.
Oh, they must have felt really good because they gave him raving reviews for that skit. Delilah's awake, just to let you know. So we'll have to hurry this up.
I understand.
I think since that has been out there, we really haven't done a lot of viewing of kind of that stuff. We've been out there busy doing flyers, posters.
I call BS.
Signs. I mean, just, wow. But yeah.
Okay. And you said that he couldn't have gone out a window, that all of that was checked, and it did not appear that he had gone out a window. And do you guys have a lock on your refrigerator? I just wanted to put that to rest.
On the fridge?
Oh, like on the refrigerator?
Yep. That's a question. Okay.
No. I mean, there's an alarm on the refrigerator when you leave the door open.
Yeah, I have one of those too. That dings when you don't shut it all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is, it looks like, there's a couple more questions. Some of the questions that are being asked are actually questions that we answered previously in the live stream. We did ask Chris a whole set of questions, and I just invite people to please be kind and rewind to listen to the questions that Chris and Katie were asked. And we just appreciate you guys taking the time to be here.
So there you guys have it. Let's just see if he has any final words to say.
To talk about your son's disappearance and what you think may have happened, because this is a very scary situation. And we're 21 days into this. Now we're 22 days.
And parents these two people don't even act like it's an urgency or a desperate matter to bring him home. They're too busy trying to save their own neck and preserve themselves in the eyes of the public, and not even really care about their son that's missing without insulting him on every freaking interview.
I just can't imagine in my mind where this young man could be. And you said to me, I think we had talked on a phone conversation, and we had talked about that construction site. And I did hear Seth on a interview state that the scent that the dogs picked up actually led to the outside of that construction site, which backs up to your neighborhood. What can you tell us? Can you tell us anything about the scent dog?
And we have learned from law enforcement. Now, it's up for speculation. Could we know law enforcement has deceived the public before? Are they lying about this as well? It's possible.
And where they might have tracked to, or anything of that nature. Is there any information that you need us to know about that?
Yes, there were tracking dogs. They did pick up a scent. And I couldn't tell you how many number of dogs, because day 1, I knew of 5 dogs. By day 8, we had dogs from across the country coming in from North and South Carolina, Kentucky, all over the place. So I don't know how many dogs, but the scent was picked up. It does go into the construction site, and then it disappears. So they don't actually know what happens. They just disappears.
Okay. If there was anything that you could say to Sebastian, or if there is someone out there who is with Sebastian, is there anything that you would want to say to them right now?
You mean if someone has my son?
Keep it PG.
I would say that this boy is loved, and that he has a caring and loving home, and that he belongs with us, with his family, with his parents. And that I'm never going to stop looking for him, and I'm never going to stop until we're able to bring him home.
I'm curious if she means, before or after she goes to Memphis, before or after she goes motorcycle shopping, before or after she has this wonderful visit with her stepdaughter that she seems to love and hold on to and kiss and smile from ear to ear, when we can't even see that with her own son. I'm just curious about what she means by that. By the way, what I just stated was factual information, not conjecture, not innuendos, factual information that can be corroborated with receipts, which have already been done.
For myself, Sebastian, we miss you. All 3 of your parents do. We all want you back home. As soon as you can, come home. If somebody has him, please return him. Don't hurt him.
Where's the urgency? Don't hurt him? You throw that in there, like, don't hurt him? He's been gone 21 days, and your grieving and emotional state does not bode with the situation at hand.
But we do want our son back. Please.
Where Summer said maybe someone's seen him playing outside. If he played outside, that's why I want to know if he played outside. Maybe someone's seen him.
Sebastian wasn't very much, like, he didn't go outside very much.
Boom. Boom. Didn't go outside very much, but he's going to go out into the middle of the night in the unknown without shoes, money, switch, or even the snacks that he's accustomed to getting up in the middle of the night and taking into his room. Why wouldn't he take snacks with him out the door? None of this makes sense. Is it just me? Is it just me? I don't think it's just me.
Most of the time, all the neighbors will tell you if they saw him, he was taking the trash out. He may have cut the grass. Last summer, he cut the grass every so often, but we were always home. But he's not really the...
We're always home, the stepfather says. We're always home. This child was never left alone, okay? He never left to the point that there is an interjection of a stranger danger. This boy did not like strangers, did not like strange adult people. This boy would not have left with strangers. This boy would not have been abducted by a third party, military trained parents with guns and other stuff in the house. Somebody's not going to break in there. And there was no break-in into their house. So who had their keypad lock? I guarantee only them and maybe their mama Bowersox. I guarantee those are probably the only people that had the key to get into that home, the punch code. So who's the third party that broke in and got him?
I'm going to go outside just to go outside kind of kid.
He's not the go outside just to go outside kid. Let's listen to that again, because they're trying to convince us that this is exactly what kind of kid he is.
Last summer, he cut the grass every so often, but we were always home. But he's not really the I'm going to go outside just to go outside kind of kid.
He prefers to play inside.
Well, he prefers inside and playgrounds.
Yeah, he does love playgrounds.
Catherine, I don't see any comments being deleted. We're just not taking any more questions after midnight. I don't really see anyone that's been blocked or anything. But if you have a problem, you can always send me an email at duchessforthemissing@gmail.com and let me know.
I've got to address this. I have not heard this family one time say that he was put outside in the dark as a punishment.
Oh, God, no, never.
Wait, somebody is saying that we would put our son outside in the dark as punishment?
Yeah, it was saying, so why put him outside in the dark as punishment? I've not heard that said. Sometimes when things are said like that, that's how speculation and rumors get started online. I've not heard him say that.
Neither have I. Nor do I see any receipts for that statement.
Wow.
That is very interesting. Hey, Josh, with the lab, thank you for being here. If there was a comment deleted, it may be because we asked for people not to discuss other creators in the chat. So if someone has mentioned another creator, we ask people not to discuss other creators in the live stream. So that comment may have been removed, but no one has been blocked.
Well, I believe
that I can tell. So,
well, I believe looking at a comment here, Michelle Macklin and Beautiful Sunflower have got some comments up here saying that I brought up another group comment, which I did. Something that was in Trevor's and something about JLR. I did bring those up. So if I violated those rules, then I apologize. That was not, but I was just stating what I have seen that's out there and what has been brought to my attention.
And you're fine. And listen, if you want to talk to JLR, that is your prerogative. And if you don't want to talk to him, you're not required to.
He would only have anything to do with him whenever he started attacking Seth. So we all know how that ended up working out months later.
You don't have to be pressured into doing anything that you don't want to. If he reached out to you and you didn't respond to him, I mean, that's a personal decision for you to make. And I don't really have any particular stance on it. You know, you're free to discuss with anybody that you feel like is going to help get the information out about your son. And that's why we're here, is to talk about Sebastian and to help get his information out there. We want to stick to the factual information because or making assumptions. When law enforcement tells me that somebody is a suspect, or everyone's on my channel, you know, and
just say something. If you don't mind, if I could just say something.
Sure.
Everybody out there, you know, they've all got their assumptions and their accusations and things of that nature. If you have proof, bring it.
Well, where's the proof that this boy walked out the door? Where's the proof that this child went to bed? Where's the proof that this child left the home and went outside of the community? There's a lot of assumptions coming from the mom and the stepfather without any proof. But the onus is on the people asking the question to provide proof that they can't even provide. Just saying.
To my attention, show it to me. You know, please. I mean, and like I said, I'm direct, I'm brash, but I'm respectful at the same time.
You know what I would like? I'd like proof that this boy walked out the door and proof this boy walked out of that community. That's what I would like. I would like proof that this boy walked out the door and walked out that community.
It's not about biting people's heads off. You know, what I will say that I don't appreciate is how folks out there want to drag in personal family business amongst all three parents, their side of the family, my side of the family. It has no bearing on our son.
Well, it's kind of funny because most of these cases, these internal squabbles inside their home and in these blended families do usually have something to do with why a child is missing and why a child hasn't come home, whether they've run away or whether something happened to them at the hands of their parents or a third party. Typically, these family issues do have things to do with the missing. So probably why many people do have a tendency to attach and look at the behaviors and the histories of these families.
You know, we're a family. It's big. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have some dislikes. Every family out there is got the same, you know, working through them and becoming stronger as a family. That's what makes a family a family. You know, I don't mind people have their opinions. I don't mind their assumptions.
Unless you're Bullhorn Betty, then the family wants to try to throw you in jail when you haven't committed a crime and all you had was your opinions.
You know, respectful. I'm going to give you the respect. You know, in the end result for every bit of this is the exact same. To bring our son home safe and sound. And that's all we're asking. We love y'all. We pray for y'all. We got thoughts. Even if you don't like us, trust me, we still got love for you. And sometimes your questions may sound far-fetched, but believe it or not, it might be something that we could look at and say, hey, what about this? But it's not going on deaf ears. I promise y'all.
I did see a question just now that I was actually on my list to ask you, and it was when I had asked about what Sebastian was wearing, because people were saying, why are you just now saying that it's a long sleeve black t-shirt and not a black sweatshirt? And you guys had explained to me how that transpired and it didn't get changed. You had explained to them this is what he was wearing, but when they made the flyer, they put out the incorrect information, and that you had asked them to update it, but they didn't immediately. And a lot of people were saying, well, they didn't even know what he was wearing. Tell me about that.
So we gave the description to all the law enforcement agencies out there. They took it and listed it. Sure. Now, keep in mind, let's think about the telephone game. You tell somebody something, they tell somebody something, it goes back, and by the time it comes back,
I'm sorry, LE doesn't typically make these types of mistakes. They are very, very good at what they do. They have to write it down. They have to put it in a report. You know, they have to sign under oath typically that that's what is stated. I don't know.
background to you, it is not what you initially started with. That is basically what happened. We told them verbatim was Sebastian went to bed wearing long black pants with white stripes down the side.
Thank you, Michelle.
A
God bless
long
you.
sleeve shirt that had an image on the front, could have been of one of three things: Minecraft, Star Wars, or of Halloween depiction. His favorite three things. Now, somewhere along the way, that got changed, and somebody said,
Oh, and Seth is on here too. And his thing says that is, hold on, that is the internet, Seth says, and then follows it by, I know I have asked TBI to change it multiple times, and still it has yet to be changed. So there, he's confirming
it was a
that.
sweatshirt. Somebody said it was a hoodie. Somebody has said it's a t-shirt.
The initial description said sweatshirt, and I clarified that it was a long sleeve shirt.
Hi, Seth. Thank you so much for joining the chat. It's good to see you. I appreciate you being here. If you'd like to join us on panel, you're more than welcome to. We really just want to find answers, and we really just want to find Sebastian. And this channel is just a place for family members to be able to share any information, to clear up misinformation, and to get out the information to help bring their missing child.
I don't know if we got any information from this about Sebastian. It was all about them and them clearing their name. Sebastian was hardly even in this interview. Let's be honest.
Or their missing loved
Unless he was being insulted.
one home. And I appreciate you being here. You have so many people that are praying for Sebastian, and we do have those billboards up, and we're going to hopefully maybe get another billboard up, maybe a third billboard. We've had so many wonderful people in this chat to support us keeping those billboards going for another week. And we're praying for all of you, because this can't be easy, and it's got to be very stressful. And all of these extra things that are going on can't really be helping. And Angela, you can express your opinions, but we will not allow people to just be harassing or to show blatant disrespect, doxing. We don't want people.
I do agree with that. We don't like people in here with blatant disrespect, doxing. You know, I don't let people talk about other creators unless they're friendly in my chat as well. So I think any whether we like creators or not, anybody that has this as their standard, as their platform practice, I think it's good.
People to talk badly about other creators. Those are just the general chat rules that are the rules that are on every live stream. And we just ask people to be respectful, help you to just too many. It's got to be. And he does want to.
He also
Wasn't it his bio dad's weekend? I see Angel has a question. Why did Sebastian not go to his bio dad's house the weekend he went missing? Wasn't it his bio dad's weekend?
No.
Do you guys
Thanks.
want to comment?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're okay to comment. And if Seth is listening, he also can confirm this. So they have it every other weekend. And the weekend that he went missing, that was not his weekend to be at his dad's house. He was actually supposed to be at mom's house.
Always coming back to that house.
I just appreciate you coming and speaking with us to, tell us if there's, to clear up things, because I've seen all kinds of being their question to ask to try to impacting. They wanted to know, when you first heard that Sebastian had gone missing, did it ever cross your mind that that Katie might have been involved?
Absolutely.
And I wanted you to speak to that.
No, and that's fine. Absolutely not. I would not. There's nothing in me, nothing I would ever think that the mother had anything to do with this, or the father for that matter. None of his parents. None.
Interesting choice of words.
Any of us would have ever done anything to Sebastian to do this, remotely conjure up. No way. No. This boy has got so much love. That right there.
Multiple CPS reports. Tell me about the love. I'd like the audience to tell me about the love with those multiple CPS reports.
Kind of hurts me a little bit to think that somebody would think that I would suspect my wife of having ill intent, and that's
just saying. I think his wife has ill intent.
No.
And I respect that. I respect that, Seth. I understand. And yeah.
Seth says, Chris has already asked. I'm not joining the phone call. I just think some of these questions are not about finding Sebastian. It wasn't my weekend.
I think some of these questions are the questions that be able to home site before.
To that construction. No, he's never gone to that construction site. We have drove around the construction site in a car, but no, he's never been on foot.
I wonder if that was the case the night he disappeared. Maybe that's why the scent was so strong for the dogs. Possibly, allegedly.
But he's never wandered over there. I understand where they're going with that, but no, unfortunately, there's not any chance that he would have that kind of interest. But then again, at the same time, dog scents were found in the construction zone, and then they disappear. It's hit or miss.
Okay, and you had told me that you both had, when you're able to, you get out there and try to do searches. You have been.
Well, we know definitely the truth now.
Flyers. Are you planning to continue to search in the future? Are you going to organize any type of search yourself to help find him? Because there's people in the chat that are wanting to come and help. So will you be letting people know if there's going to be any other organized searches for the...
Let me guess. The answer is we'll get back to you, or we don't know, or something to that effect. I remember that this was answered, but I don't remember what the answer was.
Community?
Yes. We're not opposed to that.
Okay.
The father, Seth, he does that all the time. We go out and do... We don't organize big groups.
I would venture to say they have not gone out in the woods but one time. And from my understanding, it was Chris and Seth that went out in the woods, and that side of the family hasn't been back out since.
To give you an example, like this weekend, somebody's like, well, you guys were in your motorcycles. Well, yeah, we went to a motorcycle rally.
Oh my goodness, can go to a motorcycle rally. Can't go out in the woods searching for people or for your son, but can go to a motorcycle rally. A motorcycle rally. No vigil, no organized search, but hey, a party time like a biker rally with drinks a-pouring. They're there.
Group, a spring opener, passed out flyers. You'd be surprised on how far and wide the motorcycle community can pull together and spread that word. Dad, Seth has worked on it, and his end up in Clark.
If anybody was a part of that motorcycle rally, I'd like you to reach out to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I'd like to know if, in fact, flyers were handed out at this motorcycle rally.
Clarksville, he's got guys that he's working with. We have folks down here that we work with. We help. People want to help. We ask them. They're like, "Hey, I'm going out this far. Do you have flyers?" Sure do. We'll hand them a stack of flyers, and they're outgoing. Seth is his part of it, and trust me, it's an ongoing thing. If somebody wants to try to put together an organized group, we're not opposed to it.
Trev, I just saw your comment and I wanted to say thank you. And we have some if you need them.
And Seth says he does like heavy equipment too.
Yeah, so a little quick story. I rented a mini excavator and needed to use it to do a project around the house. We were doing some landscaping, and I actually put Sebastian on the equipment, explained to him how this works and whatnot like this, and he actually was able to take the bucket and put it within inches of the foundation of the house and help pull out some of the root balls without ripping out the irrigation lines in the landscaping. So he's good at it. He's real good.
I appreciate that, Trev, Tom, for you to go out there and put up flyers. It really takes a team effort, and I appreciate everyone that is covering Sebastian. And Thought Criminal, I did see your post asking about the X, but I don't really think the X doesn't really.
Are we learning that this motorcycle rally was in a completely different state, Myrtle Beach? Can somebody please confirm that? That's not bringing awareness to a child. That's a party and a vacation.
Pertain to Sebastian missing. So that is the only reason why I haven't addressed that, son. And all of the parents in disappearance of Sebastian, you feel, Katie, thing that you so-and-so might
was out of town. And honestly, no. My husband was out of town and had been for a while. And even if he wasn't, I don't think for a second he would ever hurt him. And if his dad wanted him, he wouldn't have to take him. He'd just call and say, "Hey, I want to pick my son up." And I'd say, "Okay, what time?" And, the only stipulation is that we don't miss school. So, I wouldn't have thought anything about that either because we have, our own differences, but that doesn't matter. When it comes to Sebastian, we're pretty good about, hey, I want to have him this weekend, or I've got this thing going on. And we juggle and change weekends sometimes if we've got something that we want to do, or vice versa. So no.
Kinky Ad said, how did Katie not notice him in the kitchen when she didn't find him in bed, and then said she thought maybe he was making breakfast, that your room is by the kitchen?
Yes, but he liked to.
She acknowledged, yes.
She thought maybe he was making breakfast, that your room is by the kitchen.
Yes, but he liked to dip around walls and. he did his little sneaky thing.
I understand. The lab said, did they say why they didn't go to the vigil?
Yes. So somebody asked me that before, and I responded on Facebook, and it's okay. So the very first vigil that was going on, and actually, I think I said there was 3, and when that actually was 4. They did a vigil down here at the stop sign inside of our subdivision. It was inside our neighborhood. Did a small one. At the time, we were still dealing with law enforcement, and we didn't go. Then the Long Hollow Baptist Church down here on Long Hollow Pike, they held one. At the time, we were still with law enforcement answering questions. All 3.
So that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Dealing with law enforcement's not at your house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay? They pick up the phone, they call you for questions, or they send a detective out there to ask you some questions. That's it.
3 parents were. We did have a representative go and speak on our behalf. The third one, which a young lady organized, and originally they were going to try to do something here in the community without discussing it with us, without talking with anybody. And all the neighbors had a concern because, like I said, it's a small community.
There's no parking.
There was no parking, so we addressed it to go to the high school, which they
So it was them that suggested it to go to the high school, which it did, and they still didn't go.
gladly moved it, but there were some security issues. We got with law enforcement. So the dad did show up. We did not. And then on this last one,
Do you guys notice excuses, excuses, excuses? Everything is more important than Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers in their life. Everything is more important than putting him first.
was up in Clarksville. And that's up in the Clarksville area. You know, that's where dad lives. So, I mean, I think that was put on more for the dad and everything in his community up there, which supports him. But I mean,
The community supports Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. I want to repeat that again. The community supports Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers.
that answers that question.
True Crime Cafe with Dago says, could there be anyone out there at all that has ill will toward either side of the family? And then I did see someone right up above that say, well, Seth works, in law enforcement. Could this be something like that's coming?
Seth has worked at that job for a year and a half, maybe tops. And I don't think anybody from his job would know where his son is laying his head at night. Just, common sense, but hey, we'll ask.
Coming back because he works in law enforcement. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No.
Terry Dean says, parents in this situation. Welcome, Josh. Thank you so much for dropping by. I appreciate it. The conversation. So, or up as long as if there's anything, bring your son home, your family. I can't imagine you. Thank you for your time. And I want to thank all of the members for being here and being willing. Thank Miss Curvid Bryant. Thank you so live for something. You can always, there's to you to help. Has it really together to go cold? Please saying, is there anything?
Does it want to help?
Anything that we can do to help? Is there anything you want to close out with, Chris, before you leave us?
Yes. Does it want to help? Please feel free to reach out to me. You know, everybody finds me on Facebook. Send me a message. Like I said, there's thousands of people, and there's 1 or 2 of us. And Seth, he's not really on social media that much, but so we're trying to answer as much as we can. But we love you guys. Thank y'all so much. Our prayers and our thoughts go out to you and your families as well.
Thank you.
You're able to speak this flyer and keep his face out there.
Absolutely. We will keep sharing his flyer, and we just encourage him on media, on Bastion, and then to support the injured still missing something, you could be a September Virgo for being a member for such a trauma going on. And I will do
and all the
so I really appreciate that so very much.
Duchess, if you don't mind, I personally want to reach out and say thank you to all the viewers and all the questions. Doesn't matter what the question was or the comment was. Thank you.
If we just, there's going, I would force apps and just trying to safely all screens there. And I appreciate it with me.
Yes, ma'am.
You've got my number.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all once again for everything that y'all do.
Absolutely. You're very, very welcome. And we'll chat soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Take care. All right.
Take care. Bye.
Y'all.
All right, so there we go. A lot longer than I had expected it to be, but there we have it. Lots more angst, lots more going under the microscope, and I know it has to do with the release of the lights video. They had to state that he was with a flashlight, but I want to confirm when the flashlight was introduced in this case. If you guys have any screenshots of any comments related to the flashlights, please send them over to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. So now we've heard interview 1, 2, 3, and now 4. We've learned a lot of differences in the stories that weren't there previously. The interview number 4 really is a doozy, and this was 3 days after the lights were dropped by Nick Baris. Narcissists won't admit they're lying. Small, stupid shit, let alone anything big, will never happen. Exactly. So let me get over here and see. I know we've been keeping up with it. Mally Cat, they don't sound a bit worried. Not a bit worried. Busy Mama gifted 1 Bullhorn Betty membership. Thank you so much. Lady for Justice became a new member of this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. Welcome to the fam. Gypsy gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. Thank you so very much. And with her milestone, she says, thank you for going through all of this. Thank you for standing up for Sebastian. It is absolutely 100% my pleasure. This is why I do what I do. I get so sick of the toxicity sometimes on these platforms and the quite honestly, the garbage that comes from these platforms. We need to bring it back to the facts. We got enough with their own words that are plentiful. We don't need to make stuff up. We do theorize, we do speculate, but our basis is always and will always be the facts of the case that are built. So here we go. This is what we heard. You guys heard it for yourself. 21 days after this child went missing, and it doesn't sound like anything other than a normal day to each and every one of them, with the exception of Seth Rogers. All right, guys, we will be back tomorrow. I was hoping to be able to get to Chronicles of Olivia's interview, but we've already been on for over 3 hours going over this interview. So tomorrow we'll continue to go down what was going on in and around the case at the time. This was all breaking off, and we're going to go straight to the horse's mouth and get it from either the parents or the news. And we're going to make sure our audience ditches all this nonsense from these hate channels and these disinformation and misinformation campaigns for no other good reason to cause distractions and disruptions in this case. So we're going to continue to go down this until we all have all the facts of the case, so we can build our opinions and our speculations on those facts. Hey, River, it's nice to see you, my love. Green Jules, it's nice to see you. I don't know if I said hi to you, Betty, but if I didn't, hey. Samantha, Sorta Morta, it's nice to see you guys. Pink Butterfly. Did you see the 2009 Acadia White is involved in vandalism of car searching? Yes, I did see that. That's on Don B. So we'll cover a little bit of that in the morning as well. You guys have a great evening. I still have no power here. I was hoping that we'd have power on by now, but I made it through a Florida day without any AC in the house. So I'm doing good so far, but I don't know how much more. I need some AC kicking on sometime soon. So we'll see what's in the plans for Bullhorn Betty, but the generator's still kicking. And I still have a coffee maker. I still have an ice maker, and I still have 2 refrigerators. I think I'm about to light up the grill, or I'm bringing out my griddle and I'm unplugging the coffee maker and cooking on a griddle. I got chicken. I can make me a chicken sandwich, so I think that will be good for a hot sandwich, a hot meal tonight. Thank you all for being here. God bless you. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I'm sorry I was not able to be more corresponding with my audience, but it's hard to run these shows and the videos all on one screen. And that's what I'm having to do because I'm out of power. I'm limited on plugs and resources here. So thank you all for bearing with me. God bless you and have a great day.
From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.